Hello and welcome to the first Just the Tip Megasode. My name is Aidan O'Sullivan and I'm joined by my very good friend and co-host, Mr. Ashley Green.
Hello, lovely people.
I love that for a second there you did the video thing and this is a podcast as per the amount of times we make this mistake. It is ridiculous. But we're not talking about that right now. We are talking about this episode. As you can see, this episode is substantially longer than pretty much any other TSM episode. Why, Ashley? What is this episode? It's a megasode. What does that mean?
Well, for the past few months, we have literally been launching weekly Just the Tip episodes. Short, bite-sized, consumable thoughts and ideas that we've been sharing. They've been going down an absolute storm, and we thought in this episode we're going to bundle all of that up. So you guys are going to be listening to a varied mixture of different actionable topics on business, on feedback, running through even our favourite stage openers or even health in general. It's a whole variety of different things, and you're going to get so much in so many different aspects of everything within an entertainment business just from this one long Just the Tip Megasode episode.
Well, this is exactly it. And for the people that have been listening in every single week, these are literally just replays, but coming back to these episodes time and time again is going to be so valuable. So bundling it all up right now, you can go on a nice long walk, listen to all of the episodes back to back, get your mind racing and thinking about a ton of different things, and then start taking action immediately. Any final words before we roll into the episode, Ashley?
I'm just going to say it. I'm going to put it there. You're going to learn so much in all different aspects. So grab a notepad and pen and get ready to take some awesome notes. But let's rock and roll with today's Megasode.
Health is absolutely crucial right now. But Ashley's got a really interesting story that I kind of want you to share with everyone. If you're happy to, that is.
Yeah, I mean, for me, and I just want to point out first why health is so important. Like, since I've become more healthy, I've had more energy in my shows. I've had better clarity. I feel like I can come up with new ideas. Like, my thoughts are just better in general, and I feel like I've got more motivation. But that aside, last year, 2020, my health was not optimized. I think, like a lot of us, I was trapped inside, staying in my room, and as a byproduct, I was just sat down all day in front of my computer, doing no exercise. I didn't pay attention to any of the nutrients in my food, and all of the other things as well, which are associated with health, which we're going to touch on in just a second. To put it bluntly, I was really unhealthy. And then that led to me catching COVID as well. So I caught that on top of it. It absolutely mullered me and it threw me completely out of whack. Before I was already feeling drained. I didn't have that energy. And when I caught COVID, it was just even worse. I was pretty much in bed. I think, like 2 or 3 weeks, Aidan? And I couldn't even upload a single YouTube video. That's how bad it was. I think there's a real problem for us as entertainers. Like, a lot of the time, it's just us running our own business, and when we become ill, or seriously ill, like I was, what happens with our business? It goes on hold. If we're self-employed, what happens to that money? Bang, it stops. That's a big, big problem. And it all comes from getting ill, and for me, quite seriously ill. So anyway, after that happened, I thought, well, bugger me, I better start looking into my health. And I did. And you know what? I recovered so much quicker from coronavirus. I optimized my health. I feel better. I have more energy. I'm able to have more clarity with my own thoughts. I have much more motivation, enthusiasm. And you know what? Aidan's been bigging me up on the TSM podcast saying, oh, your shows are great. You're really energetic. You're so fun. And that all stems from having good health to lead with that energy in my show so that I can be up and actually deliver and be there to give better shows for my audience. I can come up with new ideas because I've got more clarity in my thoughts. I genuinely feel better as a person, in my business, and in my performances, and it all comes from just optimizing my health.
And I do want to just jump in at the minute and just say to everybody listening, we're not just saying go and fix your exercise and your diet. It's not quite like that. They're two big pillars of health for sure, but it transcends even that, because we're going to be looking at things like cognitive health as well here, and actually being able to show up like preventing brain fog and that afternoon slump, and actual energy levels as well, which are really, really important, that you've just mentioned, Ashley. But even then, we're looking at emotional health and well-being as well, like mental health, because this is something that's not spoken about enough in the magic and the mentalism industry. It's been a ruthless time in that, well, obviously the pandemic put an awful lot of performers to absolute full stop. Like, some of the best performers and busiest performers have gone from 1,000 miles an hour to absolutely nothing, and that has taken a toll. And unfortunately, we have known some good friends and some great performers that are sadly no longer with us, owing to various issues like this and beyond. So it really does transcend that, and it is so important now more than ever to start focusing on optimizing your health, because again, your health is your first line of defense when you're actually looking at immunity from other things, whether that's the actual coronavirus or any other things going on as well. So yeah, it's really, really important to just be aware that if you don't maximize and focus on your health, then you're going to show up and you're going to be heavily unmotivated. Even if you're not seriously ill, you just have these energy dips and you won't be able to get motivated to go and do the things, reply to your emails or write your show or film that little trailer for your next Zoom show, or edit that video or that promo reel or whatever it is. You just don't have that motivation to actually jump in and get started. And even if you do, well, if you've not really optimized your health, there can be so many knock-on effects, like your ability to focus and actually do the work. Your output actually can heavily decrease if you're not optimizing your health and your ability to sit and focus. And again, it goes beyond that, and we're really scratching at the surface of something much, much bigger here, because as you said, Ashley, we take it all on ourselves as entertainers, and the second our health goes, everything crumbles and we're wiped to complete zero. But with that said, like, what can we actually do?
Well, all of you listening right now, you're in for a treat, because me and Aidan have you covered. We identified this big old problem and we was like, right, well, we're working on it, so why not let's bring people in. Over on the TSM app, community.thesuccessfulmentalist.com, you can sign up for free, and every single month we're going to be doing something amazing for each and every one of you. Talking ways to optimize your own health. We're doing something called the 30-day Biohacking Challenge. It's kind of inspired by someone who me and Aidan are really big fans of. Matt Diavallo does his 30-day challenges on new topics, and also a real leading biohacker called Dave Asprey, who's like bang elite up there in like the field of health if you want to research him. So we've put together these 30-day biohacking challenge over on the TSM app, and every single month we're going to be talking about a specific topic that's going to help you, help improve your life, help improve your health. And every single week during that month, we're going to be hopping on a live Zoom call, delivering a piece of content and a little task for the week. It's going to be super fun, and I'm so excited for it. And one of the main reasons I'm excited for it, Aidan, is because we're both going to be going through the 30-day biohacking challenge as well. We're both going to be going through this as well. So it's not just us saying to you guys, oh, do this, do this, do this. We're actually going to be doing it. So we're able to share our results with you, and you're able to share your results back. And I think it's fantastic. And like you said, this is something that we just have to put out there for free, because we know it's so needed right now.
For those people that are sat there thinking, well, you guys aren't medically trained professionals, you can't teach me how to optimize my health and fitness and my health and all of these other things, and you'd be right in thinking that. However, we have been doing the work, the research, all of the studies purely so that you don't have to. We're saving you hours upon hours upon hours, checking through the resources, finding what works, so that we can actually not only optimize our health and the people around us and their health as well, but now you guys as part of our community, because this is what it is. It's magic, and mentalism needs to be this community, and right now more than ever we need to group together. Teamwork and accountability is going to be the best leverage tool going forwards through 2021. I genuinely believe that, and it all starts from your health. And with that said, you're probably wondering, like, what are we starting with? How are we actually getting started? Ashley, what are we starting with?
We're going to be talking about one of the biggest things you can do right now to optimize your health. If you want to die quicker, do not do what we're about to say. If you want to be more unmotivated, do not do what we're about to say. If you want to have less energy, if you want to just feel completely meh all the time, do not do what we're about to say. We're going to be talking about how to optimize your sleep, because that is the biggest thing you can do right now. That is a complete game changer. And Aidan, can you tell us kind of how the format of this is going to go in April for our sleep biohacking month?
Well, our sleep biohacking month, again, sleep is so important. It's fundamental. If you want to put on muscle and get ripped, you must optimize your sleep. If you want to lose weight and boost your metabolism, you must optimize sleep. If you want to get rid of those energy slumps and fix those energy and emotional mood swings and all of those, you must optimize your sleep. Genuinely, we cannot stress how important sleep is. It's a non-negotiable in the world of peak performance, but it's a non-negotiable for those looking to actually fulfill and fuel their life. But the format, it's actually going to be every single week, every Thursday, we're going to actually hop on a live Zoom call, just as you said, Ashley, for about 30-45 minutes and deliver the content that we've been researching and share it with you, as well as unveiling that week's goals, that week's challenge. And it'll all build upon week upon week upon week, and you can come and join us and completely for free and actually build upon this, so that over the course of the 30-day challenge, you'll have actually optimized your sleep and your overall health. And then if you enjoyed that, you can jump into the next month's biohacking challenge. But the aim here is to really elevate the health of all performers, because, again, it's just so fundamental. But that's really it. If you want to sign up and find out more information, by all means, head over to community.thesuccessfulmentalist.com and sign up. You'll find it all in the events tab, totally free. Just tell us you're coming and we'll see you there.
You know, I'm really looking forward to this, Aidan. This is going to be a game changer for so many people, and so many people are going to come out at the end of April thinking, wow, I just feel so much better. I've got so much more drive, and you're just going to perform better in all aspects. It's going to be a game changer. But as Aidan said, if you want to come to this, and we're doing it for free because this is what TSM is all about. It's about helping people, helping the community right now, and doing what we can to help you. So as Aidan said, head over to community.thesuccessfulmentalist.com, sign up for free, head over to the events tab and check out the 30-day biohacking challenge, which in April is all on the topic of sleep. And remember, if you guys like these little short, just a tip episodes, go up, click the follow button and make sure to stay up to date with our podcast. And also, we'll see you on Sunday for another awesome new episode. We'll see you soon, guys.
And in this episode today, we're actually talking about something we don't usually talk about. Our favourite magic books. So we had a big chat about this earlier on, and we thought, why not actually put this on an episode for the Just a Tip listeners? And today, we're looking at our 3 favourites. So let's just get stuck straight in. Ashley, what is your favourite magic book?
I'll be honest, Aidan, my book recommendation here I think is going to confuse a lot of people, because everyone knows me as a mystical weird guy that's interested in all things occult, psychic and like killer hypnosis stuff, and I couldn't have chosen a book that is more completely in a different direction of that. It actually comes as a recommendation from the beautiful card magician that is Michael Vincent. And when I was 15 years old, he recommended this book to me, and it's been a game changer in my mentalism. It's called The Stars of Magic, and it's got some of the greats in there like Slidini and Vernon, and it's full of a ton of magical effects which are, in Michael Vincent's words, beautiful and a solid part of his repertoire. So why am I saying that my favourite book is a magic book when I don't actually perform any of the tricks in there? Well, it's the routines themselves, the thoughts behind the routines, the fact that it's built in such a way that it's simple, it's simplistic. It's not about the methods, it's about the result, the impact. And all of that has completely inspired me, and I've applied that to my mentalism when I'm planning routines and effects. I want to make it impactful, and I don't care about the method. For me, simplicity is the way forward with everything. So that's why I'm really recommending Stars of Magic, just for that way of thinking that some of the greats had behind their specific effects. But what about you, Aidan? What have you chosen for your book today?
You know, this is actually a book that is fairly modern. It's actually, we're diving into the realm of modern mentalism right now, and it's Architect of the Mind by Drew Backenstoss. I'll give you a bit of context. That you guys, if you've seen us on any live streams or any courses or any bits of footage, you know that I've got a fairly extensive library and growing. But this is the only magic book that I have ever sat and read and been pulled through cover to cover twice in a row, and then within the first week gone out and actually performed at least 50 to 60% of the effects in the book. Genuinely, Drew, his way of thinking is phenomenal. It's second to none. It's really simple, just as like you picked up on with your book, Ashley. It's really simple, direct, and it just gives you an opportunity to actually present magic well. So often we actually read magic books and they're really, really difficult to actually read because they've not been written well, but Architect of the Mind is a great read. It's a really enjoyable read, and yeah, I would highly recommend it for anybody who is looking to actually improve and develop their mentalism using a bunch of the techniques that we've got nowadays. Like, this is genuinely great stuff, and it's material that I'm still using to this day. But we've still got a third book. So rather than us fighting over it to actually work out who was going to recommend a book, we actually found a book that we both enjoyed together. Ashley, can you tell us a little bit about who wrote this book, first of all?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I want to mention someone who is called Michael Murray. If you don't know who Michael Murray is, he's an absolute genius. And honestly, it was a no-brainer when me and Aidan were actually choosing a book which we thought, okay, what's one which we both think is absolutely brilliant? And it came to us straight away because Michael is an absolute genius. Aidan's going to tell you the name of the book in a second, but I just want to say, but before Aidan does that, honestly, everything he shares in this book is absolutely golden. You can take the advice and you can apply it to all of your other mentalism and magic routines. Michael done a cracking job on the book. And also, to be fair, everything he's actually doing at Mind Effects, he's actually putting out proper decent stuff. Like, he's not trying to just put out crap for the magic and mentalism community. He's actually going through and thinking, what's good? What's decent? What can people actually use which is beneficial? And that is one of the reasons which I love everything that Michael puts out. But Aidan, without that said, now that I've kind of loosely hyped him up, what is the book today which we both agree on is just fantastic?
Well, the third book is A Piece of My Mind by Michael Murray. Those that are Michael Murray fans will probably have seen it coming, but if you're not familiar with Michael Murray, I would highly recommend that you grab this book as soon as you possibly can and study it intensely. I've read it dozens of times over the last few years, and every single time I'm finding new stuff and new little subtleties, new little principles that I'm using every single time I'm performing. Genuinely, this is a goldmine for anybody who is looking to make their mentalism as real as possible. It's just, it feels great to perform it. It feels great for your audience to actually experience it, and it genuinely is a powerhouse in modern mentalism. So our three books for this recommendation are The Stars of Magic, Architect of the Mind, and A Piece of My Mind. Again, all three fantastic books, but we can't just do 3 books and leave it there, because there are a lot of honourable mentions, so we've fought over this for quite a while. Ashley, who is the one honourable mention that we're going to be sharing with everybody today?
It is the Mythology Codex by Phil Smith. What a beautiful book, and I just want to say, Aidan, not just for the content that's in it, because that in itself is golden, but what we really appreciated was the actual time and care has been taken into the design of the book, the effort behind it to make the book look as amazing and as fantastic as possible. Phil even went down to the deepest details that when you fold the pages in a certain way, it displays a beautiful image, and you fold it in a different direction and it's another one. Like, honestly, my mind was blown seeing the level of detail and thought behind the execution of this book. It is one that is just utterly fantastic, and not just for the golden content that's inside.
I'd love to get it off of the shelf, but then I've realised, first of all, it's a big, heavy book, and also this is a podcast, so you won't be able to see it anyway. But honestly, it is gorgeous. Genuinely, go and find the Mythology Codex. If you can grab a copy, I would highly recommend that you do that as well. But with that said, that's some of our favourite magic books. Honestly, we could talk for hours about our favourite magic resources. So if you enjoyed this episode, by all means, reach out, let us know, and we'll be able to prepare more of these kind of resource recommendations. But if you are interested in talking books and reviews and products and all of those kind of things, head over to community.thesuccessfulmentalist.com. We built a brand new social learning network specifically for people that are looking to elevate their game in magic and mentalism. And we've actually got a book club in there. So we're going to be sharing constantly our favourite resources, anything that we're currently reading, both in magic and outside of magic, which are really, really interesting. That's community.thesuccessfulmentalist.com. Mentalist.com. You can find the link in the show notes of this podcast, as well as the names of all of these books. But with that said, if you do enjoy this podcast and you're enjoying these little bonus Just a Tip episodes, it would really, really mean the world to us if you could give us a follow on your preferred podcast provider. And again, if you are enjoying these episodes, let us know. Either reach out or leave a little rating in your podcast provider, because we would love to hear what it is that you're actually thinking of the episodes. And if you think of any ideas for these Just the Tips that you'd like us to share, by all means, reach out, info@thesuccessfulmentalist.com. But with that said, we hope to see you actually in the book club on the network. We'll catch you on Sunday for another big episode of the TSM podcast. Accountability is so important. Like, we have spoken to some people actually that have gone through our courses, but also that are taking the 30-day biohacking challenge, and also our own life. Accountability is perhaps the biggest thing that you can do right now to help you move forwards in your entertainment business and actually achieve the goals that you set, and actually grow and evolve as a person, and both professionally as well. So accountability, what does that actually mean? And it really is as simple as saying, hey, do you want to keep each other accountable? And over an extended period of time, or however long you like, actually checking in and making sure that you guys are doing the work and doing the work with everything. It really is just an opportunity to commit to somebody else, to show up in full, play full out, and do the work that you set either yourself or set each other as part of this overall accountability plan. It's really, really important. And the studies are out there now that community learning is the fundamental element of any learning experience. If you learn within a community or within an accountability group or pair, you're going to get better return of investment. You're going to learn more, you're going to experience more for so many reasons.
That's it. You know, community and accountability is such a huge thing of a lot of things we do at TSM, down to the point that me and Aidan, we're accountability partners, not just in TSM, but in our own entertainment businesses as well. We keep each other accountable. If we want to work on a specific thing, we will have a specific vision, and we're like, yeah, I want to achieve this. I want to do this show. I've got to do this month, write this blog post, do this video, whatever. We say it. We have weekly accountability meetings because we know the importance of it. And as you've said there, Aidan, for us personally, and I know for me, it makes me think, oh, I can't just do the work tomorrow or the week after or the week after that, because I've got to show up Friday and say to Aidan, hey, I've done this, and if I haven't done it, Aidan's going to moan. And also the real benefit, as you've already outlined, Aidan, but for me as well, sometimes it's easy for us to get stuck when we're so inside of our entertainment businesses, right? And having an accountability partner, someone who can just look at everything you're doing from the outside in, it's really, really nice and refreshing to get a different perspective on something which you might be struggling on. And that is the one thing which I think is just absolutely brilliant. And it's helped me so much.
Well, it's fundamental at the end of the day. If you can't see everything from every angle, that's just the nature of life and the way things are. So actually having that third party to actually come and have a look at what you're doing and say, hey, by the way, I saw that you was doing XYZ on social media. I'm not sure that that was working. Or, oh my gosh, I saw XYZ, that did work. Or, oh my gosh, this thing happened, you've done this thing, and that's great. Actually being able to commit to helping and supporting each other. And Ashley, you said something funny there that I want to pick up on. And that's that you show up to these meetings every single week with your plan and with your work being done, or the new plan implemented. Otherwise, I'll moan. And it's not a negative thing. It doesn't come from a negative perspective. We call it that because we know that it's like the duty. It's what we're signing up for when we become accountability partners. Like, if somebody's not done the work that they say, we have to have a little moan at them and work out why that's not been the case and make sure that they're actually staying accountable. So I kind of just want to just tell some people, how do we actually get accountable? How do we actually find out who to work with in terms of accountability? And you don't have to go and find new people, although you can, and sometimes it's a really great idea to find new friends and connect with new people to get a fresh new insight. But you can also look at your current friendship circle and work out, who do I actually want to collaborate with and cooperate with? And you know, Keith Ferrazzi has a fantastic word that he's created called co-elevation. And that's simply the idea that between yourself and a friend or a group, you're actually committing to go higher together. Ashley, what does that actually mean? What does it mean to go higher together and co-elevate?
Well, yeah, you're all in it. And like you've touched there, it's recontracting those friendships. You're now no longer just going, hey, let's just meet up for a social, but it's now, hey, let's meet up on a social, and hey, what can we do to all work together to achieve the big things we want to achieve, to achieve the big visions we want to achieve? How can we do that? How can we support you? How can they support you? That's what it means. It's about striving to be your best self within your entertainment business, your life, whatever it might be that you're working on in that moment. And you've touched on something so rightly so there. So many people think that with accountability, oh, well, how do I find someone? Friends. You've got friends within the magic industry. You've got friends in general. And if you can recontract those relationships so that you're both now working together to achieve your specific things that you want, then bingo, you've now found someone. And all you've got to do is schedule in the time. For me and Aidan, it's every Friday morning. For you, it might be another time. But as long as you schedule in that time, get that routine in, then you're going to go places. Because honestly, the payoff is just astronomical.
Well, that phrase that you're using there, recontracting those friendships, it really is just, it sounds fancy and formal, but it's just a formal word for the informal process of, hey, do you want to make your entertainment business better? Shall we collaborate? Or, hey, do you want to achieve X? Let's work on that. And actually going through that process of being able to say, like, this is what I'm working on. Are you in with me? Or not. Like, you're more than welcome to walk away from friendships that don't fit that need. And if you are looking for accountability, well, sometimes your current friendship circle aren't the right people to give you that accountability. So, Ashley, where can people actually go to find accountability outside of their friendship circles?
Well, we have you covered. We mention it all the time, but because it is absolutely fantastic and you guys are loving it right now, the TSM app over at community.thesuccessfulmentalist.com, the app is specially set up so that you can either find specific members so easily that are actually living near you right now. If you want to find other magicians, other mentalists which are near you in your neighborhood, your part of the world, you can do that within one click of a button. Or if you want to find people that are at your skill level, whether you're a full-time busy professional or just a hobbyist with some gigs, you can do that over at the TSM app. Sign up for free, click on the members area, and you'll be able to browse a multitude of various different people that you can filter down to those who specifically suit you and to find those that you want to work with and you want to collaborate with.
So important. It is a game changer. It helps us exponentially. And people that we're speaking to, like, we had a couple of awesome chaps. They went through our Mastering Online Shows course actually together, and they did it together and stayed accountable, and their levels of transformation are huge comparatively to like everybody else that's actually out there. And it's all because they've been able to connect and collaborate and work together. So if you do nothing else based on this episode, please go and recontract some friendships, go and get accountable to some other people, and prepare to change your life and business. Hello, this is a really exciting episode today because we're talking about a really taboo subject, a subject that we always see arguing backwards and forwards from in every single Magic Mentalism Facebook forum there is. It's hilarious because it's genuinely so silly, but we're talking about card tricks in mentalism. Now, we're going to say this from the get-go, we both use card tricks within our mentalism. Simple as that. We both use them because they are so useful. And they're so many things. And we're going to try and give you a reason to use these card tricks in mentalism, a reason why you shouldn't, and then our overall thoughts at the end of that. So, Ashley, why don't you kick us off to start with? Why do you use card tricks in mentalism?
100%. Right, let's have this argument for the final time, finally, amongst mentalists. The reason why I use card tricks in mentalism, obviously, I could say the usual common answer, which is what most people would tend to say. Well, if you could really read minds, you'd be down the casino every single day. It's a super valid point, and that's a valid premise point if you're going to put it there. If you were really a mind reader, it might be an unethical one, and you might just be scamming people. So that's a valid point to actually back up the fact of why you do the mental card tricks in mentalism. But when I'm performing, even though I perform as like a heavy psychic Aidan, I actually do regular card tricks in mentalism. I might do a 4 ace reveal. I might do a 4 playing card production. Why? because it adds diversity to my act. I'm actually explaining adding in diversity, and it goes down to the beautiful magic principle, which you've outlined in previous podcasts.
Yeah, for anybody who isn't aware of the beautiful magic principle, it's kind of that rule that I give myself whenever I'm writing a show or a real performance piece, an extended performance piece. It is quite simply that I force myself, even in a mentalism show, to have at least one piece of beautiful magic. And this is a piece of magic that's so standalone. I can either have music playing and it completely silent, or it just stands out as such a beautiful piece. And the reason I do that is because it adds that contrast, which we were speaking about a few episodes back. But it adds that contrast and that real element of diversity in a way that people actually resonate and appreciate. And again, what you're saying here, Ashley, is that you're using the beautiful magic principle and applying it directly to the world of card tricks.
Exactly that. I think it perfectly suits. And I know in real world situations, Aidan, for real people, real audiences, they love it. They go wild for it. And if anything, it adds to the actual entertainment factor, because my job, my sole job, is to put smiles on faces. If they are having a better time, if they are going away more happier with their lives, I've put a little smile on their head, and I've turned that frown upside down, or whatever the saying goes, like, then that's my job done. And if I can do that through adding a card trick into a heavy psychic routine, why wouldn't I? So, come on then. Give me a reason why not to use card tricks in mentalism, Aidan.
I'll be honest, this one's quite tough because it goes against everything I believe in. Like, I use cards all of the time, but I guess really the big thing that I've got, and it's the big problem that I face, and I know a lot of other people face this problem as well, it's that, well, people see you with a deck of cards and instantly you're the magician. And no matter how much, and again, I've seen performers argue this, I think it's BS when they start saying, like, oh no, but if I can convince them that I'm the mind reader, not the magician. No. They will believe that you are the magician because you have a deck of cards. They see you doing tricks, even if you don't want them to be called tricks. They see you doing these tricks. You're just the magician. You get that label. And for a lot of people, they really don't want that. And again, I know for us, like, we don't really care so long as people remember us. But for a lot of people, that's a real big tough point, actually having a label and as that magician rather than mind reader or mentalist or psychic entertainer or whatever the heck you want to go with. So I think it's really an important question for most props and most things that we actually use within our performances. How does this routine or this trick or this effect or whatever you want to call it, what does this prop, what does this element actually add to the overall show and my overall performances? Because it can have these like subconscious little impacts that we don't even realize until it's too late.
See, I get where you're coming from there, but can I just add something into the mix? Surely that's not someone saying, I don't want to do card tricks in mentalism, blah, 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 blah. That's someone saying, oh, I don't want my ego to be hit. I want to be known as this weird, mystical person, and it's very important people don't see me as a magician, or blah, 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 blah. You've already said, we don't care. If someone's coming in and they're going to view me as a magician, they've already got that preconceived idea ahead of time. At least that's what I believe.
I mean, you're completely right. It comes down to the way you see yourself and the way you want other people to see you. For me, it's very much, I don't care if I'm doing these card tricks so long as I get remembered and so long as it's not the card tricks they remember. If they can come in and remember, oh, you did this amazing card trick, and then tell me about how much fun they had, how like they were laughing or just some joke or some situational element that was just so funny. If I can do that and really play to that, and that's the story that they come away with, I'm okay with them remembering that I did card tricks because it's given them so much more and my return of investment is much higher. But a lot of people won't look at it that way. They'll say, oh, it's a card trick. No, I cannot do card tricks because I don't want to be associated with card tricks. And the jarring factor is when they like pull out a tarot deck or they pull out a deck of letter cards or a deck of something else. I don't do card tricks, but if you want to pick a tarot card, on the other hand, I can give you, like, I know you've got strong opinions on this, but for me, it's the same thing. It's still a card trick, even though it's tarot. It's just, yeah, really weird to play around with that element of. But we're coming up to the end of this episode now, and I want to be really clear. We love card tricks in mentalism. We think they are I wouldn't say that they're holy grail, but they're really, really powerful. Like, if you go back to a previous episode, I explain why I use card tricks and how I actually get people calling me over to the tables using the deck of cards. It's such a powerful tool, yet so many people get it wrong. What are your closing thoughts, Ashley?
Exactly that, and you've outlined that perfectly. And I think this goes much actually further and beyond the should you do card tricks in mentalism. If people are going away and they're remembering you because of the card trick, then you've done your job wrong, because they're remembering the trick and not you. You need to adjust your performances, you need to adjust yourself, how you present to an audience, and then if they can go away remembering you, it doesn't really matter what you perform, because your main job, stick in their mind. And also what I said, put smiles on faces. Like, I don't care about any of this. Like I've said, I do not care about anything. The underlying thing for me is, can I make someone happy? Does that do the job? Yes, cool, I'll add it in. In terms of consistency, I just make sure it aligns with character. That is it. And that is really all I can add to this point.
And there we go. It's as simple as that. I think ultimately it's something that everybody should actually make that decision themselves, but providing you have a thought process and have a reason behind your answer, and perhaps even a reason behind the reason, then you're all good to either say yes or no. But I guess this is just a campaign for us to stop seeing silly, pointless debates in mentalism happening over on Facebook groups and just spiraling into arguments, if I'm honest. But we'd love to know your thoughts. We're actually going to throw up a poll the day this comes out, this episode comes out. We want you to head over to our private network, community.thesuccessfulmentalist.com, and you'll be able to see a fresh poll on there where you can vote. Do you do card tricks in mentalism? Yes, no. Whereabouts are you in this world? We'd love to hear and have these conversations, these positive, constructive conversations. So if you want to come and join us and have all of the other free events and bonus stuff that we're doing, go to community.thesuccessfulmentalist.com for all of the fun stuff, and we'll see you in there.
Today we're going to be talking about really branding, the truth behind it, what it is, because I know a lot of people are going to be here right now going, oh my gosh, just at the right time. I need to know all of this stuff at branding. I'm midway through designing my new business cards, doing my website, looking to overturn my social media and put up some new fancy graphics, and I'm really up for investing all of my time in this and looking at all the different colour schemes, the fancy places, investing in graphic designers. But in reality, Aidan, it couldn't be further from the truth what we're going to talk about today, could it? Because a lot of people spend and waste time looking into this stuff. That's not what we believe a brand is. That's not what a brand really is at the crux of it. These people right now that are listening thinking, oh dear, I'm trapped now. What are you going to say, Aidan? Can you enlighten them? Branding, what is it?
Yeah, so this is something that's really, really kind of interesting, because it's something that we've explored, and we've actually gone through all of the different iterations on it ourselves. Like, we thought the good branding was good colour scheme at first, and we spent far longer than we're prepared to admit, talking about the TSM colour scheme to make sure that our brand was on point. And then we learned one thing, and then we changed our opinions on branding. And then we learned another thing, and then we learned another thing. But the one real poignant moment for us was actually when we checked in with Ryan Daniel Moran. His book 12 Months to $1 Million, he explains what branding is. And branding, it's simply trust. And that's it. That's all branding is. It's trust. It's not having a nice set of graphics that align with all of your different platforms. It's not having a fantastic colour scheme that just looks appealing and draws the attention to the right. And that's not what branding actually is. The branding is the trust that not only do you share with or your audience actually put their faith in you. And I think the real key is that a lot of people get obsessed over these colour schemes and fancy things because it contributes towards that overall brand, because it's a factor that plays a part. Like, let's be fair, if you saw on my website, you saw the colours and perhaps some specific graphics actually on there, and then you head over to my social media and it's got the same colours. Okay, sure, I now know that this social media is off of this same guy's website. There's a trust element to that. However, it goes much, much further and deeper than that. It's not just having everything look the same in all the different places. Like, it can go much further than that. Actually, how else can we actually build that trust? It's such a big, weird concept, right?
Yeah, I think authenticity and humanity, you know, this takes me back to when we was sat down recording our big Learn to Thrive course, our coaching course, and what we talk a lot about in there is actually employing a lot of things that no one really speaks about in business, and it is being authentic with yourself, being human, adding those elements into your business. You know, when you're going through doing website copy and those basic fundamentals, first of all, we all know, stop copying other people. There's no point in that, because now there's no trust, there's no authenticity, there's no humanity there. You're going to be copying Aidan's website. So actually being true to you. But secondly, it goes beyond that. When you're dealing with people, and I think for me, this is the crux of it. When people get to know you online, maybe when they inquire, maybe when they speak to you, employing humanity, authenticity to build that trust. Now they're going to like you, appreciate you. They like your brand because of you, because they trust you. Listen to these words I'm saying: humanity, authenticity, trust. These are the key things here. And just to give you an example, Aidan, I booked, I'm doing a lot of online shows at the moment, 4 figures, and the lady came back to me after saying, yeah, okay, we're going to have a look at some other magicians. And I went, cool. You're going to see a lot of magicians' websites with amazing, amazing things on them. But she came back to me and she booked me, and I asked her the reason why. She really liked me for me. She really valued the brand because of me. She liked me, and because she liked me, she could see me in an authentic way. I'm a nice guy, and she trusted me. And now at this point, she's willing to make a little investment and actually pay for a gig and go further with it. You know, this is the real important stuff which people don't look at, do they, Aidan? They are stuck in this thing of, I need to get fancy graphics and business cards and logos. In reality, it's not.
Yeah, there's something else, another element of branding that kind of plays into the big definition. And I first heard this in a podcast with Jason Mark Campbell, and he was actually interviewing Jeffrey Pearlman, who was one of the absolute geniuses behind Zumba. And I think we all know what Zumba is. It's not just that thing that mums go and do and collaborate and dance about for a bit, but that entire empire, he's the branding guy behind that. And what he actually explains is that this branding it's not just this trust, it's not just the color schemes and all of that stuff, it's actually the feeling that you're going to convey there. And if you can consistently, reliably deliver that feeling, then that's great. You see, at TSM, we're actually running on a couple of really clear sort of feelings that are building everything that we're doing. And again, I don't mind actually sharing them with you. Like, one of the big ones is autonomy. We want you to actually be able to go and do all of this easily and actually implement all of this rather than having to rely on someone else or follow a formula or do what everyone else is doing. Another one is freedom. We want to give you back the opportunity to take control of your life and your entertainment career rather than hustling away trying to do the same thing that everyone else is doing. You see, what we're actually doing here is we're building our brand around some key themes and key feelings in a way that will allow you as the listeners, and if this is your first time coming to the podcast, actually please follow, subscribe, do all of that fun stuff, and make sure to check out some previous episodes. But we're doing all of this in a way that will help build that trust and build that feeling so you can come on this journey with us, and more importantly, you can support us. But the same goes in directly into your magic business. If you can have that feeling of trust and that feeling of excitement in every conversation that your clients have with you, or maybe it's not even excitement, it's that element of the mysterious. Like, I've always had this weird vision of being a client phoning you, but it's the most surreal phone call ever. Can you carve that niche out and actually spend your time building up that brand in other little fun areas? I think that could be quite fun, and that's what's going to build your brand quicker than some fancy color schemes and some fancy logos.
Yep, 100%. And it pays dividends. You're now working on things which are actually memorable. People are going to care about. People are going to go away and think, yeah, I like that guy. Because he's different, he's fun, enjoyable, I trust him, whatever that is. They're going to go away and not think, oh yeah, it's just a magician. Because if they go away and think, oh, it's just a magician, then you need to revisit all of this. You need to revisit all of it and look at the actual thing that you're doing. And when you can do that, then you're going to stand out at the end of the day. And now people are going to book you for you. And what an amazing thing to be. Like, what an amazing place to be at. And I know personally, having people come to me now and book me for me, not just because I'm a magician, it's an amazing feeling, Aidan. Like, it's really, really nice and surreal. And people come back to me time and time again, and they chat to me and speak to me, and they inquire about my shows. They're like, oh, when you're doing another show? And people are interested after they book me about all the other things I do. And like that, it's just such an amazing feeling. And it stops the business side of it being boring as well. And it's really great. I know I've gone on a little side tangent there, but I just wanted to express like some of the other benefits that really come with like nailing this stuff.
And this is the absolute key. I think the main call to action, if you like, for the day actually listening to this episode is if just take stock of where you are right now in your entertainment business. Are you obsessing over a new website redesign or a rebrand or new colors, or what are you actually focusing your time and attention on? Are you cultivating good relationships that will allow you to get gigs in the way that you want, that fits your lifestyle, or are you obsessing over something different? There's a really great quote, and I actually can't remember who said it. It was on a podcast, another podcast I was listening to, but it's like the fact that we spend so much time majoring in the minors. We spend so much time obsessing and learning and trying to do really, really well at the things that just don't matter. So again, the call to action for the day is to stop wasting time on fancy websites, fancy color schemes, fancy branding, all of that stuff, and instead use this as an opportunity to reprioritize and focus on your entertainment business at large. And again, if you'd like help with that, or you'd like to share your thoughts and ask some questions, we've got an amazing community over at community.thesuccessfulmentalist.com. It's totally free for you to come and join us, ask your questions, and get genuine, good, progressive, practical feedback from us and other entertainers from all across the globe. So with that said, again, any final words from Ashley?
Just stop wasting time on those little things. That's it. That's all I can say, guys.
It's as simple as that. So stay tuned. Jump back and listen to all of our other episodes if you're new here. And again, stay tuned for this weekend. I'm not going to say who it is, but we've got an awesome episode coming up for you. See you then.
We're going to be talking about something which is so important in our industry. Health. The most important thing that nobody is ever talking about. And it's so bizarre that no one's talking about this. It's such a weird taboo subject. But really, health is the most and biggest unlocking thing ever. And that's why over on our community network, we're doing a lot of free events to really help people with this. We're calling it the 30-Day Biohacking Challenge. And as of recording this, over the past 30 days, we really focused on sleep. And the benefits of sleep in our entertainment business and in health overall is profound. You get more energy, you're more focused, you've got better mental clarity, you're able to show up and be your best, you're more productive. Of course, sleep in general, it improves your health physically and mentally, and also you're not going to get an onset of the various common diseases which are associated with a lack of sleep, such as obesity, cancer, dementia. The list goes on and on and on. So this stuff is super important inside our entertainment business and outside of it. And today we're going to be talking about 3 actionable tips which you guys can use straight away to improve your sleep. So Adam, why don't you kick us off with this?
So, I mean, when we was talking to Phil Smith about this, he said something that was absolutely brilliant. If you want more gigs, why not just live longer and do more? So I love that. It was brilliant. But today, we're looking at actually doing some sleep hacks with you all. And some of the most important ones are really quite profound. And rather than just picking some of our favourites and sharing that with you, there's a few sort of standouts from the people that actually took the 30-Day Biohacking Challenge. And I think the first most sort of profound transformation was actually from Michael. Now, Michael did something really interesting, is he actually started simply tracking his sleep. For him, it just, again, as with everyone in the Biohacking Challenge, we started tracking our sleep and really optimizing it. But Michael took it to another level, and he was really obsessing over his sleep tracking. He had the a free worksheet. He had that printed out for every week of the challenge. He was writing in that every single day, tracking that, analyzing that, improving his sleep where he could. And honestly, his transformation over the course of the entire 30-day blueprint was profound. Not only is he showing up with more energy every day, but he's actually lost 9 pounds of weight in the process, something that he was aiming to do, And just by sleeping and optimizing his sleep, he was able to actually lose that weight. It's absolutely fantastic. It's been a real eye-opener in that sense, just being able to track your sleep. And that's, you don't need any fancy gadgets or anything. Like me and Ashley, we wear a special device called an Aura Ring, but actually you don't need that. Simply tracking the times that you go to bed, the times that you wake up in the morning, the times that you get up in the morning, the times that you're using alarms, how your energy levels are throughout the day. It's just these little simple things that you can actually track every single night and start improving over time. And it really is amazing.
That's it. Well, you're able to compare those stats from the day before, the day before, the day before. And when you start tracking it, then you can think, why did I have a bad night's sleep? Let's look at what I did. Oh, right, I drank 12 cans of lager. That'll be why. And sometimes it might not be as extreme as that. It might be down to something like you recently said, Aidan, from tracking your sleep. You was like, I had a really nice, weird night's sleep. And the only thing I did differently was started taking magnesium supplements. And you would have never identified, any of that if you weren't tracking it. So sometimes, this can unlock so much, and it can really get you to understand your sleep so much better because you're documenting everything. You're building up a collection of all of your past experiences, so it gives you comparisons to go through, find out what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and the various interesting things in between.
It's really quite profound, and the question I like to ask people when we're talking about sleep is, when did you last learn how to go to sleep? And most people don't, because we just don't learn about this stuff. It's not stuff that we actually we naturally learn about. We just do it. We just go to bed, and that is that. But that kind of brings me on to the second point. Actually, okay, we've started tracking our sleep now. What can we actually do to improve it? And there is one thing that is more high leverage than many, many other things. And you might be thinking, oh, of course, go to bed. Oh, yeah. It's actually the opposite. It's actually waking up at the same time every day. And that, optimizing that morning routine and waking up and getting up at the same time every day, yes, even on weekends, is such a big game changer. And the reason it does that is a few different things. First of all, you're actually training your body to, over the course of the day and the night, actually secrete the hormones that you need that regulate your sleep and your circadian rhythms and your natural biology. Well, you're training your body to dial in those hormonal pulses, if you like, earlier on at a time that's more relevant to the actual circadian rhythm, natural circadian rhythms, which is your biological sleep clock. But in the morning, you set that up, and if you're going to bed late, well, you're going to feel naturally more tired earlier on by optimizing that morning routine. So you're not going to go to bed as late. You're actually going to be able to come to bed a little bit earlier on. And some really good things to actually do in this morning routine is quite simply getting some natural sunlight. Unfortunately, behind a window or inside still isn't actually as effective as going outside and getting some sunlight. But even something as simple as going out for a walk or just having a glass of water to keep yourself hydrated before you go. Really, really important stuff. And in fact, there was someone else in our challenge, Severino. He actually won the 30-day biohacking challenge for really leaning into this and getting stuck in the most. It was absolutely amazing. But one of the things that he started doing is he was doing this with his partner. And actually, he noted that actually over the course of this challenge, he's been able to do this with his partner, go out for these morning walks and actually deepen his relationship with his partner. And it's now a routine, a ritual, a habit for them. And as a result, they're both sleeping better at night and they're having a better level of communication and a better overall day, which is just amazing.
Yeah, that really is profound. And I know personally, when I've led into an optimized morning routine like this, and also, cold showers, huge favourite of mine as well. Going on the walks, having a glass and having a cold shower. When I do that in the morning, honestly, the rest of the day lines up. I feel so full of energy, Aidan, and I feel like I can accomplish so much more. And I also feel happier. And it's just through doing these simple things.
And the third kind of real key tip that we wanted to share is actually light exposure. Now, we touched on it a minute ago in terms of sunlight and things, but light is one of the big, really, really most important factors that it impacts your sleep. And just to give you the science behind it, when the sunlight actually goes through, it comes into your eye and it's picked up and it sends the information to a tiny little area of your brain known as the suprachiasmatic nucleus, the SCN for short, and it's actually in the hypothalamus. And the hypothalamus is the area of your brain that actually regulates your hormones, or most of your hormone production. And actually what it does is that regulates your sleep-wake cycle because of all of the hormones that are secreted. Now, if you're getting light in line with the sunlight and you're actually getting that sunlight naturally and your sleep cycle is aligned as close to the actual daylight, then that's going to be a really great advantage, because that's actually how we are supposed to run from a biological perspective. But more importantly than that, actually blue light particularly, and screen light, we hear it all the time, like blue light is the dangerous thing. You can get blue light blocking glasses, but fun fact, actually blue light isn't the only dangerous form of light, or the most damaging form of light when it comes down to sleep. There are some other colors on the spectrum as well that impact it. But staying up late and actually binge watching movies or on your phone, and even first thing in the morning, actually getting all of this junk light in your eyes, well, actually 15% of your overall energy is stored in the mitochondria within your eyes. And that's actually like locked in there as a result of the blue light, rather than channeling it through to full body energy. And what's really important is actually stopping that junk light and that screen time first thing when you wake up, and as you go to bed in the evening. We like to actually implement what we call a power down hour, actually something that we learned from Dr. Michael Bruce, the sleep doctor, and it's quite simply switching off screens an hour before you go to sleep and actually giving yourself that time to actually bring on that natural tiredness, rather than the light stopping the melatonin production, which is one of the hormones that actually lets you go to sleep.
Yeah, and that's why we have obviously the blue light blocking glasses, the little funky glasses, which you've probably seen at some of the TSM events, and you're probably like, why are you wearing sunglasses late at night? But now you guys know why. And you know, that brings me on to a point that there was one last person in this course who lent into this, and one of the things that he changed was his light exposure. You know, a guy called Taran, he stopped turning on his phones late at night, first thing in the morning, and really became aware of the lights around him. All of this junk light from LED screens, phone screens, and our ceiling lights. He became aware of this and started really looking around it, switching off his phone a little bit earlier. And the results were, I mean, it's been incredible to see. Like, his mood, overall mood, productivity has just increased. I've seen massive changes within his energy levels. I remember when Taran first came to the 30-day biohacking challenge, and you probably remember Aidan as well. He was very drained out, very kind of like washed out. And at the end of it, he went, oh my gosh, I'm really full of energy now. I actually get tired when it's coming up to my bedtime, and I'm actually able to get out of bed at the right time as well. He used to spend like 2 or 3 hours struggling to get out of bed, just kind of laying there. But now he's optimized that, and as a byproduct, he now feels better. He's got more energy, and he's not wasting 2 to 3 hours in bed in the morning. And that was just because he became really aware of all of this junk light around him and started cutting it out late at night. So yeah, it's a really, really interesting thing to really look at and just be super aware of. So I hope you guys have really enjoyed these very, very simple tips today. As you can tell, really, really easy to do. And you can act on this immediately if you want to improve your sleep.
And if you do actually want to learn a little bit more about what we actually went through in the challenge and all of the little hacks, well, we've actually got an ebook for you. If you head over to thesuccessfulmentalist.com/sleep, you'll be able to check out the full 30-day blueprint, the actual blueprint of the challenge, as well as some of the most important sleep hacks. We looked at the 80-20 of sleep hacking, the most important sleep hacks, the key areas to actually try and hack, fundamental principles of sleep hacking, why you should be hacking your sleep, the science of sleep. We went through all of this in just 4 weeks of these overall challenges, and again, that's all going to be in the ebook with links to resources, bonus materials, and other options actually there. And again, you can go to thesuccessfulmentalist.com/sleep. But that's not it. We're doing more biohacking challenges, and in fact, the second biohacking challenge is meditation. Now, there's a lot of preconceptions about meditation, so we are kicking off this entire 30-day meditation challenge by looking at meditation and exploring what it actually is. What is meditation? What is it really? It's not sitting in a cave like a monk for 3 hours or 3 weeks or however long you want to think. It's actually much easier and much more straightforward than that. But if you want to find out more about that, if you head over to community.thesuccessfulmentalist.com, you'll actually be able to sign up and join in these challenges. You'll find that there's a specialized group specifically for these challenges. And also, if you check the show notes, you'll be able to click a link and go straight through. But we'd love to see you there because it really is so much fun. And it's not only fun, but it's incredible towards our overall health as well. Well, with that said, we'd love to see you there. But if not, we'll see you at the next episode of the TSM podcast, which is only a few days away. So we'll see you then. You see, value is one of those really interesting words. We hear it everywhere. What is value? Well, like, add more value. Oh, you can up your fee if you add more value. Or you should find a way to upsell and add more value or be more valuable to your clients. But 9 times out of 10, no one really explains what that means. Like, we can add more value to our shows and we can add more value to us, but how do we actually do that? What does that actually look like? And that's what we're going to sort of talk about today in this little bonus Just the Tip episode of the TSM podcast. Now, if you're new here, my name is Aidan O'Sullivan and I'm joined by my very good friend and co-host, Mr. Ashley Green.
Hello.
There we go. So let's just jump straight into this, Ashley. What does value actually mean?
Yeah, this reminds me specifically, I was chatting with an entertainer the other day, and we was on the similar lines. We was basically talking about this whole kind of value stuff without actually mentioning the word. And they was like, yeah, what I do these tricks, and maybe I can make my shows better by making the tricks better, maybe more engaging with the people. I can add some fancy lights, some music's in, but yeah, people get caught in that production value and the trick side of it. But it goes far more deeper than that. Like, value, it's the benefit to the customer, the consumer, the person who is actually, I guess, booking the services at the end of the day, or maybe coming to your theatre show. What are you actually doing? And I remember saying this to them, and I said, take a step back. What is the actual thing? Where is the real value here? And I'll run you through a simple example to break this down, like how I actually pitch this nowadays when I do my corporate online shows. Rather than saying, yeah, I do these really cool, engaging tricks, which will be fun for the staff. That's not where my value is it? It's just a thing that I'm doing. This is exactly how I pitch to a client. I say, yeah, silly little magic tricks aside, silly little, like, card tricks and pulling bunnies out of that. Let's just forget about that a second. What I'm really here for your event. Over the next 45 minutes, you have me in the middle of your conference. I am here to do one thing, and that is cure Zoom fatigue. I know that when people come to a conference, they're going to be, drained, watching a screen all day. I'm here to re-energize people, re-engage people, get people excited in a better mood so that they can fully participate, absorb the information at the rest of the conference better. And it also means that if I round up at a show at the end of the day, it's a great opportunity for you to send that feedback form because they've finished the day on a high, and now you grab them so that they can submit better reviews and testimonials for you. You see what I've done there, Aidan? I've outlined it now. This is my pitch to the client. I've said, this is the actual value I do. Like, it's not the silly little tricks, it's the added additional stuff. But that comes with, I guess, maybe knowing the actual type of gigs you do, knowing where you want to perform, and knowing your product inside and out so that you can really share that with the customer and consumer.
I think it actually goes even further than that. And I think rather than focusing on just your product and making your product more valuable and really seeing the true value of what it is that you're doing, because you're right, Ashley, it's like getting paid to go and do tricks, that's cool, but the value is in actually what happens as a result of those tricks and how you actually coordinate that moment. But I actually think it goes even further than that. And I think that rather than just looking at your product or your service or whatever it is that you're doing, I actually think you need to be looking at the client themselves. Because we always say add more value to the client, but value that doesn't get acted on, is it really value? Value that isn't appreciated, and actually beneficial to your client, if they don't find it of benefit, is it really value? It might be value to somebody at their gig, but if they see no direct value, then there's no point in you offering that. And the reason I give it in this sort of cryptic way, it's quite simple. Like 9 times out of 10, when we talk to performers, they have no idea who they're selling to. It's like, oh, I do weddings. That's as far as we get. We don't know our target client. We don't know who we're trying to serve. And when we know who to serve, and this is my suggestion, to go and do work on finding that ideal client as quick as you can. In fact, I think we actually covered this in an earlier episode of the podcast when we did a string about networking. So if you want to jump back to episodes 40, 41, 42, you'll actually be able to learn a complete system to getting gigs and leads organically through networking. But the point we're making here is actually that value is only relevant if they actually want it. Like saying that I can do a bonus state. You book me for an hour's close-up magic, or you book me for an hours of close-up performing. Well, I can add in an extra 35 minutes stage show. It's usually £4,000, but I'll give it to you today for free. Some people might want that, and that might be extra value, but a lot of people might not want that. And if they don't want that, there's no point trying to give it to them. And the case I'm really making here is that you should ask questions before you go ahead and suggest like, oh yeah, if you book me now, I can have you this, and this. You get all of this for free. Instead, focus on asking them, what do they want? And then give that to them. Even better yet, genuinely read their minds for real. I know, as mentalists, reading minds for that's crazy kind of stuff. But genuinely, if you know who you're serving as powerfully as you possibly can, you can preempt what it is that they're after. Traditional in the world of weddings, like we've experienced this, the both of us. Clients, sometimes they're still having a hard time trying to choose other suppliers and find out which is going to be the best flower arranger. Insert word here. Which is going to be the best flower arranger or the best sort of the bridal cars. Which one's going to be the best? Well, if you know these suppliers, you can actually give values. Oh, I could recommend these people. And you're starting to be more useful in ways outside of the tricks. And I realise I've said a lot there and taken it in a completely different direction, but I think it's important that when you're considering how to be more valuable and actually increase your fee, you need to be more valuable to the client in more ways than just being able to do some tricks.
Yeah. And you've said one thing there which I know so many magicians are guilty of. And when I was younger, I mean, some people listening to the podcast are like, shut up, you're still young. For me, when I was younger, going back a few years now, I remember when I was speaking on the phones to clients and they'd phone up and I would just tell them my services, maybe outline some of this value as we said here, and then dish out more value, blah, 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 and then close. But they never actually asked about them, the event, who they are, and actually go a bit further and fact find. This is one of the things that magicians fail to do. They're so wrapped up in like, I do this, but imagine it from the client's perspective or potential client's perspective at this stage. They phone up. And it's just all, me. I'm the amazing magician, me. Here's all the amazing packages. And they go, oh, so he's not actually interested about my wedding then. He just wants to flog me a show. You know, asking questions goes so far. And it goes beyond this. Like, yeah. You're more useful. You can find extra value to add. You can do all of this other stuff. But you're actually showing that you give a damn. And sorry to take this off another tangent on this podcast, but it's showing that you actually give a damn and care about the people that you're engaging with, talking with, because that goes further and it kind of links into what we were speaking about on the last Just the Tip midweek episode about trust and branding, and it all combinates and builds from there.
Well, it's something else that I want to paint this in terms of like how I actually do this, and you're right, it's asking questions and finding out more. I recently had an inquiry through actually about this was just before COVID, one of the last inquiries I got before the world went crazy. But it was actually, they was doing like a charity, sort of a black tie dinner to raise money for a specific charity. And they wanted different acts performing, like I was asked to actually do some close-up. But I realised very early on that it's going to be a stage evening. And I said, I know what you need. You don't really know about events. You've just told me because I've asked questions. You're not huge in terms of running events and stuff. You just want to do it because of good moral compass, and you really want to support because it really resonates. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is great. Who's hosting your stage stuff? And she kind of froze, and I'm not too sure. And it was at that moment that I knew that I could be of tangible value and say, well, I've had a lot of experience actually doing this in other worlds, in outside of magic, but also in magic. So I'm quite comfortable on the stage. Would it be helpful if I actually filled in the blanks and did that to make sure that it doesn't have this awkward tension and just keep the pace up through the whole evening? Would that be of value to you? Yes, I've identified her pain point in that specific situation and delivered it. And as a result, what I did is I said, right, here's the deal. I would love to come and do the close-up. I think you've come to me with that idea. Let's make it happen. But we've also established something else. Now, what I'd love to do is I'd love to block out the entire evening just for you. I don't want to be rushing around here, there, and everywhere or working to time. I just want to be relaxed, just like you. We should both be relaxed and enjoy the evening. So I tell you what, I'll block off the entire evening. And I'll work with you to make sure it's as best as we possibly can. Here's my fee. And in that moment, she was all over it, 100% locked down immediately. I'd charged more than I would usually, but because she's seen me as a valuable option for her event and added that in. And the truth is, all that was going to be was just me saying, oh, yep, wasn't that great? Yep, fantastic. Oh, don't forget to buy a bingo card. Anyway, next act. It can be really simple stuff, and it's the simple stuff that goes so much further. So really ask those questions, just like you said, Ashley.
Yeah, it really goes so far, and this encompasses so many things. You're adding value, you're stacking up trust, you're going further, and you're getting rid of one of the big questions which I know a lot of magicians have, which is, people always go away and try and find the cheapest option and inquire with loads of other magicians. This lady, in this situation, she's not going to go away. There's going to be no one else that identifies that and can offer her what you've offered her, and that's why you've solidified that gig in that moment, which is absolutely fantastic. And to wrap up today's little episode, I just want to say one thing. If you have any questions about this, do head over to community.thesuccessfulmentalist.com. You can ask us any questions you want to delve in a little bit further. Ask myself, Ashley, or Aidan some questions on the network. But really, if you do like these midweek episodes and you're getting value from them, tangible value which you can actually use, then leave a little review below. It'll be lovely, lovely to see your good, honest thoughts on how you're taking these. And if you do like it, then make sure to share it with your friends. Share this knowledge with the world, because I'm sure you'll agree that entertainers need this advice more now than ever. So with that said, my name's been Ashley Green. That's Aidan O'Sullivan. Don't know why I'm pointing at him, because this is a podcast. But we will see you very, very soon with another episode of the Successful Mentalist podcast. Stay tuned. We'll see you soon.
Anyway, let's get back to the actual conversation. Our favourite stage openers. And I'm going to segue as if that is completely normal. But yeah, this is a really fun one. And this is a really fun one because our answers are actually, well, they're not really openers in that sense. They're completely different to the norm. And I know that you're really quite excited about sharing your approach, Ashley. So what is your favourite stage opener?
Yeah. Something really interesting, and we've kind of done it here, to be quite honest. Setting a scene, setting like, oh, this is different. Whoa, what's happening? And now you're kind of all captivated. Listen to this podcast. It's like, whoa, this is different. It links into something I do, and I've done this multiple times. Picture this. I come on. The stage is lit. There's no one there. And I venture on in this creepy, mysterious vibe. There's a strange music in the background. I'm staring at people and clicking and humming away. And the first few minutes, I do nothing. Yet I capture people. And I capture their attention because there's some weird tension in the air because I'm about to do something. And then I lead into this very strange, very bizarre, twisted voodoo routine with someone. But the beauty is, Aidan, I don't open straight away and it's like, bang, I've stolen your watch, bang, this is over here, bang, I can read your mind, gotta get in quick to gather attention. I'm going in very slowly and I'm gathering people's attentions by other ways, by being interesting, by setting a scene, by setting a tone, building tension. For me, my favourite opener is not the silly little trick that's associated with the voodoo routine. It's the build-up going to it. Those first few moments before I get to the actual trick, the tension, and just that moment of wonder when I look around the audience and I see everyone like, oh my god, this guy's a psychopath. What the hell is going to happen? I'm so interested yet afraid. That's really beautiful for me. And I know you've come here listening for and wanting tricks, but there's so much other stuff we can play with. It's not just tricks that we need to really think about when looking at openers, is it?
No, I mean, there's a lot of other things. And to put it in place, if you want the trick that I do to start, and this is the latest addition to my stage shows just before the pandemic hit, I didn't bend a spoon. That was my trick. But what was really important is that came about 5 minutes in. And the reason that comes about 5 minutes in is because, like, specifically in comedy clubs, this approach really worked for me. I know everybody's upstairs and everybody's all ready. I've seen everybody in the room. I've not been one of those acts that's tried to hide away and then just come out for the show and then talk to people. No, I'm there straight away. I'm casual. We're talking to people, just networking and getting to know people. You have no idea how useful that is actually in the context of a mentalism show. But when people are actually sat down, I'll wait a few minutes, and then I walk out onto the stage and head over to the other side of the stage, to, like, completely uninterested in my audience, to go and check my phone, which is on the side. But everybody goes quiet the second they know the performer and the performer has stepped on the stage. Everyone went quiet, and I turned that into a joke of like, oh, I'm sorry, this is awkward. The show, this isn't actually the. I tell you what. And I turn it into a joke, like this awkward thing of, well, what's going on? He's lingering about. Is this the start? I really don't know what's going on. And I like to play on that element of confusion. But again, I'm getting inside of people's heads in the sense of, I don't want them having any idea what's going on. So why not start with that principle of, I want the start of the show, no one to know what's going on. And then it's fun, lighthearted, and it's fun. I actually bring into music and do a full proper intro that's overhyped and stuff, which I found is really, really quite fun. It builds rapport instantly, partly because I've already done the networking ahead of time. But my opener, as I said, it's like it's an opportunity for me to show off me and my character and what I want the vibe for the actual show to be. I want it to be fun. I want it to be lighthearted. I want to have a joke, a laugh, a mess around with people. But again, like, if maybe my show was more along the lines of like that voodoo psychic like you was talking, Ashley, that definitely wouldn't work. It really comes down to sort of your character and also the show that you're gonna put out there, surely.
You know what I really like? That you've touched on something that I was just thinking, because you're a bloody mind reader. But we've outlined two things. Everyone listening right now have been with their notepad and pens. Oh, what's the perfect opener that's going to work? Here we are. Oh, the boys ain't said any bloody tricks. Oh, what a disappointment. But this is the thing we have. I've said, yeah, I do this PK touch routine, and you're there, Aidan, saying, yeah, I do this spoon bend. But we just kind of made like a little
don't
brushing...
do the spoon bend.
Oh, there we go. You do the spoon bend without doing it. You just hold a spoon. There we go.
That's it.
That's a beautiful thing. We just brushed over this kind of stuff and we just went, yeah, that aside. And we focused on something which is really hyper unique, specific to our characters in mentalism. We fully understand the character, the angle, what we want people to fully understand when they come to our shows. And right from the offset, people are captivated, drawn into our world. And just within those few minutes, they fully understand us. They kind of know and can appreciate where the show's going to go from that moment. And this is a really important thing I want to let you guys know. You don't need to walk out on stage after getting an introduction, walk out and say, hey, my name's Ashley Green, the magician this evening, and today, madam, pick a card, blah, blah, blah. You don't need to go into like a trick straight away. You can just rely on setting a scene, making a moment, maybe a silly gag, building some tension. But there's other things that we can explore. You don't have to just bang, impactful magic, bang, impactful magic. Yeah, it might work for you, but there's other things at play, as me and Aidan have so outrightly mentioned.
But I want to play devil's advocate, because I don't think this approach works in every situation. So I want to take the approach of, you're paid to do a corporate gig. Right? You are paid to do a corporate gig, and a corporate gig, there's a lot more sort of, it's well known and renowned for having a lot more high stakes. Let's say when we was talking to Colin Cloud about this, it says that you've not got room for error. You can't be taking risks all the time because you're not getting paid to take risks. You're getting paid to hit. So long as your show actually hits and it's got that good thing, then you could take risks on top of that. But taking this kind of approach of slowing down and not doing a trick straight away, I'm really trying to wrap my head around how that might actually go down in the corporate world, for like specifically live corporate, not online, but live corporate events. What are your thoughts on that? Because I've got no idea.
Yeah, I mean, I know you've said not online, but heck, I'm going to play devil's advocate, or if that's the right thing, and actually say online. Like, yeah, when I've done certain corporate online shows, and maybe this is something that if you guys are interested, we can touch base in another episode on, but I'm kind of like setting the scene beforehand, because you are right. Sometimes people go to these events and they're like, oh, it's a work do. And now it's not a stage show like where people have paid tickets, like at your comedy clubs. People are like, yeah, oh, it's going to be an amazing night. Like sometimes you're facing people like, oh, I'm going to retire next year. Yeah, I can't wait. Hate this place. I'm just here because I have to go. Like, doing gigs like that with people in there, yeah, it can be a little bit hard. And maybe, I mean, heck, if you can pull it off, you can pull it off and you're great. But it is going to be harder. I know, because I've done it. Like, I've done online shows with like a more stretched out intro, and it has, I wouldn't say flopped, but I've had to really work hard to gain people's attention, and I've recently changed it away so that I'm now going straight in like bang, and I don't really change my character in my shows. The only thing that I don't do is my hypno choke and try and kill people, because that's a little bit too far for the corporate world. But you are right. I do speed it up a little bit, and I do go in for something a little bit quicker. I establish myself and I go, bang, I don't know, like, you think of something, and I get that. And then I go into something a little bit more drawn out where I set the scene a little bit further. But I really kind of play it by ear. If I feel I need to use it, I have a backup in place. If I feel that my theatrical, long built-up thing is going to work, I put that in place. But yeah, there are some other things that I do to kind of combat the, I hate my job, I hate my work, I hate this event, I don't want to be here. And that does start with what happens before the show, especially in the corporate world, with sending stuff out, actually getting people excited, like, the event's going to suck, but oh my god, the mind reader looks really interesting. So yeah, you are battling with that, but there's some interesting things that you can especially do in the corporate world.
Yeah, see, I'd really want to hear from our listeners, because I know that we've got a lot of listeners that do a lot of live corporate things, because I think online's a very different game to actually in person, and trying to map the overlaps from online to in person, especially, and we're just talking corporate for the purposes of it's very, very high stakes. You should be aiming for the absolute most amazing show, whether you're doing weddings or birthday parties or even kids entertainment or just public regardless of what you're doing. You need to be doing the best possible thing, but corporate is renowned for that high stakes environment. So if you have been doing any corporate things and you've had the opportunity to play and test with different types of openers, we would love to hear your feedback. If you drop us an email at info@thesuccessfulmentalist.com, we'll be able to actually talk to you directly and find out exactly what your experience was. And if you want to share this with the community and teach people this stuff, head over to community.thesuccessfulmentalist.com. You can actually create a post and explain your thought processes and your experiences and share your full experience testing this stuff in the real world, because we've been talking to an awful lot of people that are ready to go into the corporate world when live entertainment comes back. So if we can all help ourselves together, go back with an absolute bang, this is going to be absolutely incredible. But with that said, we're going to do a nice uncoordinated outro just because of the nice uncoordinated intro, and we'll see you next week, everyone.
That's all right. Is this the end? Are we wrapping up now?
We should probably wrap up.
Oh.
People are going to think this is staged, even though that first bit was absolutely a terrible mess up.
Oh yeah. See you in a few days for a new podcast.
Bye.
Now today we're going to be talking about kind of criticism, being self-critical. It's something I know a lot of us do, and as you're going to hear in a minute, I do it quite badly. Like, I'm really self-critical. But Aidan, like, I know speaking to some magicians, they go, oh, I wish I would stop leaving gigs feeling deflated. And others go, at least when I leave a gig, I've got ideas of how to improve. Like, is being critical a bad thing, a good thing? Is it good because you're kind of always looking to grow and get new ideas? Or is it bad because it kind of puts you in that mood where you feel a bit meh and down? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so this is something that we all face at the best of times. In fact, I think I'm actually at a point that I'm getting it quite a lot. I'm getting a lot of this negative self-talk, and it's quite a tough thing to actually overcome. But I want to stress how important it is that this isn't a bad thing. Like, innately, if you're having these self-critical thoughts, it's not a bad thing. And when I realised that it's not a bad thing, because it shows that I care, was a real big change in my mindset. And I say it's because you care. Like, the typical things that a lot of performers get when they finish a gig or they do a show or something like that, they get the question of, oh, that was a terrible performance, or the show sucked, or oh, I could have performed better. And although that may or may not be the case, that could be the case, but it shows that you're actually already, you want to be something, you want to be able to do better performances, you want to be a better performer, you want to be able to do better shows. So you've actually set the bar for yourself, and just because you didn't meet that vision, again, you would go really self-critical. Sometimes it's quite bad, but other times it's just like, oh, I messed that up completely. But being aware that having that self-critical thoughts and those like critical beliefs and things about yourself as a performer and your shows and the material that you're doing and all these other things, it is just a sign that you actually care and that you are moving in the right direction. That was a game changer for me. But I do want to stress as well that on the flip side, too much of this can be quite bad, for reasons that we don't even have time to start mentioning today. But it can be quite bad in the sense of too many negative beliefs will actually knock on, and over time that can build and sort of put you into this negative mindset of yourself. And when you start limiting yourself, you're installing these limiting beliefs and these self-critical notions that you're not good enough. Like, if you, all it takes is one or two shows where you didn't perform as well as you think, and oh, I'm not good enough, oh, I'm not a good performer, and then you install that as a limiting belief, and it holds you back for performance after performance after performance. This is something that I'm quite relentless for, and there are a few things that I've done. We'll share them at the back end of this episode, actually, that I've done since I started being aware of this in the world of stage performances. But there was something about actual close-up gigs that you wanted to talk about, Ashley. Would you be able to just tell us about that?
Yeah, there was. Funny enough, you've touched on something which we mentioned in, I think, one of the previous podcasts, that when you stop caring about your art, it stops being art, which is a really interesting thought when you think about it. But yeah, close-up gigs. I remember for me, when I used to do weddings, I would come out of the weddings and think, oh, I'm no good at this. This sucked. There's no point me being here. I've not really done anything useful. I've not really given any value here. Like, it was just a bit meh. Even though the feedback I got, the whole room was like ecstatic. Everyone loved it. Like, the feedback I got from the married couple, they would say, oh my gosh, that's the most amazing thing ever. You've really made our wedding. Absolutely loved it. Like, I'm still getting messages now from past weddings I've done where people going, yeah, honestly, we're still thinking about that thing you done at the end of the wedding where you really made it about our day. Amazing. Yeah, those weddings, Aidan, I left, and it wasn't just that critical thing like, oh, I should do this better, I should do this better. I left really deflated, like, yeah, I sucked. That was rubbish. And you are right. I know. And again, just to keep this in magic, I've seen a lot of people go through this. I suck. Gig after gig after gig. And what does that lead to? They stop doing that specific type of magic that they like, or they stop doing magic overall. And that's a really, tough and difficult thing to watch someone go through at the end of the day. So what advice would you give someone if they're leaving a gig maybe like me, or a little bit worse, or anything in between?
Yeah, so I mean, for me, I want to talk to two really important strategies that I've started implementing, and the second I did, and I'm not saying this took a little while to get used to, literally the first time I started doing this with my shows, absolute game changer. First things first, I actually started writing and journaling and documenting my immediate thoughts as I came off stage. I documented my immediate thoughts. And you're probably thinking, some of you think, oh, I can't do that because I like to talk to the audience at the end of the show. And that's me too. I spend at least an hour to sometimes even 2 hours, sometimes even longer with my audience after my shows, because it's great to connect with them for reasons that I'm sure if you've been following the podcast for a long time now, you'll realize that like a good 90% of the work that I've ever done has been a result of word of mouth and it's good relationships. But I started finding that little 5-minute gap of just being able to have a pen and paper ready at the end of the show in a place that I know where it is. I just leave the stage, I exit the room, or even just on my phone that's in a pocket or something, just scribble down my immediate thoughts, just very quickly give yourself 5 minutes in the bathroom to do that. And as soon as I started doing that, documenting all of those thoughts, as soon as they're out of my head, I can concentrate now on going back and talking to other people. I get out of my own way, get out of my own head, throwing it all down on paper or on my phone so that I can check in with those beliefs later on and those thoughts and then start answering the reasons why. Like, why was I feeling like that? Why did I think the show sucked? Why did I think that was the case? And what's actually fascinating is keeping a log of these over time, because you'll actually notice that sometimes you'll find trends. Like, this show sucked, I didn't do a good show. Like, they might be worded differently, but actually there's recurring themes. And if you find these recurring themes, voila, you found a limiting belief. You can find out, clarify that, and actually work with that. Maybe the show sucked. Well, maybe it's because there was something about the show that I wasn't prepared to do, or something prepared for. Like, you can start asking these questions and finding out why. But the second thing, and I know this is something that you do as well, Ashley, partly because I'm a part of it, but it's actually having that social support there, having that social support network to talk to people and just share your thoughts. Now, I take it to the full extreme that I bring at least 1 to maybe 4 or 5 people to every single one of my shows, people that I trust, people that I really respect and that really respect me in return. And they are either friends or family members that I can accept and get good, honest feedback from. And when I do that, I actually get those people, like after the show, tell me everything. And I write down all of their information as well, get their insight, their feedbacks, what it was like from their angle. And the best part about having these people in your audience, they can look and hear what other audience members are talking about because they're just normal audience members. It's like having a spy in the middle of your audience for all that juicy feedback. I get it all and I can take action on it.
Yeah. For me, doing that and just with like having those I love that name, spy, that is so useful for me because I do leave gigs. I remember like there was a show a couple of shows that I done. Pretty much every show that I do, Aidan, you always get a message, yeah, that sucked, yeah, that was awful. And then when I watch back the recordings, I'm like, yeah, that was pretty damn good, to be quite honest. And I've now got into that kind of like that realization of I'm really, really overcritical, but I never know the reasons why. And having the people in the show, and it just helps because I leave and I go, yeah. And then I remember, don't worry, I'm going to get the useful feedback so that I know how to improve this. And then I'm like, yay, that's great. And then when I get that feedback, people are like, yeah, no, you absolutely crushed that. And I'm like, oh. And it is really interesting. But it all does boil down to that one thing, isn't it? We care so much about what we do because it's not a job. It's really not a job for us. It's something that we are a deep-rooted passion. This is a hobby on steroids for us, something that we have to do. We want to do to the best of our ability. And that is probably the reason why a lot of us leave every single time going, because it's not, we've got this wild, vivid dreams of where we want our stuff. And it boils down to that old thing that, when you stop caring about your art, it stops being art because we're always looking on ways to improve. We've always got these big, crazy, wild visions. And maybe for me, that's why I probably leave a lot of my shows feeling very deflated and overcritical.
I think what's really important as well is for a few people out there that are probably thinking, oh yeah, well, you boys don't need to rely on it as income because you've got a company and you've got some other stuff going on that actually gives you money. I have to get in and do all of this because it's my only source of income. And for the people out there that might be thinking that, or even if you aren't thinking like that, but that fits you, and magic is your full sole source of income, it's now time more than ever to double down on those beliefs. Like, if anything, now is the time that you should be really documenting your thought processes, really getting control of your thought processes, understanding what is going on inside your head when it comes down to your performing career and your thoughts around performing, your beliefs around performing. Because when you start to be aware of what's going on inside your head and the way you think about the art and the way you think about it as a business, like you might be, oh my gosh, I'm always so busy being busy, or I'm really busy trying to make ends meet so that I can actually earn some money to put food on the table because it's my sole source of income. Well, if that is you, then really double down on your beliefs, not just in the performance world, but actually in the business stuff as well. Like, we could talk for hours and hours on this stuff. And again, if like you listeners would actually like to hear more about our approaches to being self-critical and these sort of mindset things, again, reach out and let us know. You can find us at thesuccessfulmentalist.com. You can have a look and find the links there to actually get in touch with us. But what's really, really important is that you just bring that awareness to the table. Just bringing it to the table is going to allow you to start doing the right things. And again, if you don't know the answers, good. Build that support network. Find other people. And I'll be honest, this is for me one of the big reasons that we set up the community, actually community.thesuccessfulmentalist.com if you want the link. But we're building a safe space, an open space for performers to share their beliefs, share their thought processes, actually connect with other people and build that sort of accountability system, but not just accountability, but that opportunity to be honest and get the feedback and get that self-talk really drilled in and understood, because it's what got us here, and it's what we use all the time going forwards. It's the biggest thing that you can do. Highest ROI, if you want to use fancy terms.
There we go. Honestly, it's been quite eye-opening for me just having this quick chat right now. So I really hope you guys got some value from it, and hopefully you guys really enjoy the community, the network that we've put together, and get that really good return of investment on that. So, of course, we will see you in a few days for another episode of the Successful Mentalist podcast. This was a midweek Just a Tip. My name's Ashley Green. That's been Aidan O'Sullivan, and we will see you very soon. And today we're going to be talking about feedback. You must be getting it. You must be doing it. And I know, Aidan, I'm going to dive straight into this one. When we say feedback, everyone goes, oh, yes, reviews, quotes, testimonials. I must probably update that. I should probably look at getting some because it's great social proof. But that's kind of where people leave their feedback. It does go, as you're going to hear today in this little episode, it goes a little bit further beyond, and you can use feedback really to your advantage. But let's start on that. Social proof, Aidan. Feedback, testimonials. We got to be getting this stuff. It's so useful. Why?
Well, there's a few reasons why, and we're going to explore those today. And actually, the first does come from exactly what you've said. Social proof. Now, feedback is so important because, again, if you ask the questions, you get that feedback. If it's good feedback and it's good, really powerful feedback, you can turn that into testimonials. You can turn that into quotes that you could directly copy and paste and put on things like your website, your Facebook your page, your Google account, or getting other people to go and post it on their behalf. Like, you can share this and it makes you look like a better entertainer. And fun fact, it gives that bonus sort of preconception from new clients to think, oh my gosh, you've got 150 Google reviews. You must be good. And now they don't have to, and that, again, by having that sort of preconception from your clients actually coming to you, it means that you can do things such as, up your fee. It means you can convert more leads. It means you are going to get more leads in the first place, because not only are you ranking higher on those search engines, but you are naturally a better performer. And that starts with actually getting feedback. So if you want to get more social proof and get more gigs, increase your fee, and do all of this amazing stuff, you must start getting feedback today.
100%. So I suppose the question now comes in for people. Okay, wow, yeah. I knew I needed to get this stuff already, or they're like, I've already got this stuff, but I needed to update it. How do I go about getting this? And it's really quite simple at the end of the day, Aidan. Ask. You just ask for it. Like this one, it's not that hard. People often overthink it, but there's a few things we can do. I know specifically after you've done a gig, just in the follow-up, if they're happy with how it went, and if it was a gig that went well. I'm not on about those gigs where you turn up and like everything's an absolute disaster and it's gone to utter chaos and you leave like, oh, I never want to do a gig like that again. Like when you've done a good gig and you think, oh, that was fantastic, the client loves it, literally just, hey, would you mind leaving a bit of feedback over here? I know something I do, Aidan. I actually do this mid-performance. I make a little joke about it and I bring up a little Google review page and I say, well, I'm going to bugger off now, and if you guys would fancy leaving a little review here about what you've experienced today, I'll be going. And people laugh, but I end up getting really, really good reviews because I've done it in that moment. But it all boils down to that same thing of asking. And there's some other things where people can do. Obviously, I've mentioned Google reviews, sending out a link, but you can put forms together, can't you?
Yeah, this is something that I like to do. I like to send a short 3 to 5 question survey to my clients, actually after they've booked me, or to attendees to my public shows, because I make sure I get all of their contact information and then follow up. But that's the most important thing that you said there, Ashley. During your follow-up sequence, well, 90% of entertainers out there do not have a follow-up sequence, or they have a follow-up sequence and it consists of a couple of, maybe 1 or 2 emails, or that's it, like if that. And it's really bizarre. So we actually need to start asking questions and get comfortable with asking questions. And at the end of the day, you're doing this to improve. Which brings us on to reason number 2, getting specific improvements. If you want to genuinely improve your businesses, your performances, your mindset, everything, you must get feedback. It is an absolute key component to improving and finding things that you actually need to improve. And you can start doing that by finding out the specific things that need improving. Now, it's all well and good that we can send out this survey and get some testimonials for social proof and things, but that's not going to get us any further in our entertainment business. It's not actually going to advance us and help us get better at all of this stuff. Instead, asking the right questions, asking better questions. And actually, there's a couple of things that we like to do when we're asking questions, and a couple of types of questions that we absolutely love. Maybe you could explore those a second.
Well, we know entertainers that take this extra step and they actually put forms together to ask for feedbacks, ways they can improve, and they start going with waffly questions like, how would you recommend I do the magic? How would you recommend I change this? What could I do better? And their questions are so vague that people don't give you an actual useful response that you can really act upon. So one of the things that I like most is sticking to, what is the one thing that I could do to improve, to maybe change? What was the one thing that you enjoyed? What was the one thing that stood out? And really kind of narrowing it down. That way it's forcing them, rather than just going for a very generic answer which they could put in that box, and now thinking, okay, what was the one thing I enjoyed the most? What was the one thing that they could probably change if, to get a better service? And you could even niche that down again, couldn't you? What would be the one thing I could change in how I dealt with everything in the business leading up to the gig, if you felt you wanted to get feedback in that area? And focusing and really niching that question down so you're going hyper specific leads them to leaving a hyper-specific answer to you. It's more useful, more practical, and now you've got something that you can act upon.
Well, exactly, that is so important. And that actually comes across to the third reason that you must get feedback. And it actually comes down to your internal success management. And what we mean by that is actually how you think you're doing, how you think you're performing. What is going on inside your head? You see, in our entertainment businesses, we get put in this position where we do everything. We're doing the sales, we're doing the marketing, we're doing the gigs and the fulfillment of the actual service. We do everything. We do it all, and that's okay. Like, that's fine. We can teach you how to get hustle free and stop doing all of that stuff. But the real key is actually being able to measure where you are in your own mindset. And again, it's so important when you start asking questions and you ask better questions, you're getting this specific, clear, actionable feedback that you can take action upon and change and improve little areas. For example, if you know that you want to be getting more gigs and you think that there are 3 sections to that, there's the actual quality of the performances, the actual marketing, and the overall sales process. Maybe they're the 3 sections for you. Again, take and pick and choose and apply this to your own thing, but you start getting feedback. You know that maybe your performances are absolutely phenomenal, your marketing or your sales process is also phenomenal. However, you need to improve your marketing because you're not getting the right number of gigs, or you're not getting the right type of gigs. That is now coming down through specific types of feedback. You can work out exactly where you need to improve and exactly what you need to do. And the simplest approach is to actually just start using the answers. Actually, you ask all of this feedback, and we know performers that go out and get loads and loads of feedback, and they follow our advice in terms of asking specific questions and asking more questions, and then trying to actually use this. Like, they get confused and they don't know where to start and they don't know what to do. And I think something that we're really fond of is actually just, if we're confused or we want to go a little bit deeper on a specific answer to a question, there is nothing stopping you following up again with the client to ask them more about their answers to the feedback survey. I get this all the time. There's sometimes these like little elements that I want to just know, like, hey, that's a really good answer to this, but I'd love to pick your brains. I noticed that you said XYZ could be improved. How do you think it could be improved? And then get practical.
That's it. Never be scared to ask more, ask further, and engage in conversation. Never be scared of that, because it leads to so many things. But I hope you guys can really understand from this episode why you must, and I say that in big capital letters, bold letters, you must start getting feedback if you're not already. And if you are getting feedback, how can you get better quality of feedback so that, as you've heard today, you can actually act upon it and start improving what you're doing within your entertainment business, within your performances, or anything else. But with that said, Aidan, maybe it's time that we need to ask for feedback. I want to ask you guys, you've been here listening to the Successful Mentalist podcast for a while now, and we've been sharing a whole plethora of various different tips, tricks, methods, and techniques. And I want to ask, what's changed for you? How are you guys getting along? How are you finding our resources? What do you think of the quality of content we're currently putting out? Which is why today, in this feedback episode, we've actually got in the show notes below a little link to a feedback form so that you can head over to our website, thesuccessfulmentalist.com/feedback, and you could leave a little bit of feedback to tell us how we're getting on within TSM, how you've been able to use the advice and apply it within your own careers, your entertainment business. We would genuinely love to hear, because of all of the reasons that we've said today is going to help us a lot. But also, it'll be so beautiful to hear right from you, the listeners, what you're actually getting out of this podcast. That would be absolutely amazing. So with that in mind, thesuccessfulmentalist.com/feedback. Head over there now, fill out the form, and we would genuinely love to read through. So with that said, we will see you guys very, very soon for another episode of the Successful Mentalist podcast. I hope you all have a fantastic day, morning, night, or evening, wherever in the world you guys are from. And today we're going to be talking about how to actually make your websites work. And no, we're not going to be on about the specific code, like how do I make sure this button works, this contact form works, like the actual useful stuff which you need to know. And a couple of things we've noticed people fall into a trap when actually doing their websites, designing their websites, and the things they're putting into their websites.
So there's an awful lot that we could actually expand on and maybe do even a full episode on each of these little points. So we're going to steamroll straight through a bunch of these. So again, maybe now's a good time to pull out notepads, pens, and just keep a track, or maybe even hold your website up on your phone or your device or whatever you've got, and actually run through your website and spot if you're doing any of these things. But the first big area that is really a big one is actually saying what you need to say on your website rather than what you want to say on your website. So many performers fall into the trap of putting, oh yeah, I want to say that I'm a XYZ prize winner, blah de blah de blah. okay, cool. For some clients that might be important, but what you actually need to be saying is what is the tangible benefit for your actual clients? What is the actual tangible results that you're going to give them for their events? Are you going to be able to do XYZ? Are you going to be able to achieve these amazing things? What is the point in you? And so many people fall into that trap of just saying as much as they possibly can because they think that the more information that they put that feels relevant to them, the more likely the client is to book them. And the truth is, that's just not the case.
Oh, exactly. People will go through the website, start reading it, and then go, oh, jeez, I'm an eighth of the way through. Oh, no, this is the end of my lunch break. I've got to get back to work. It bores people. There can be so much information overload. You always want to get people in a state of mind where they're thinking, it's like, oh, I want a bit more. I want to find out a bit more. What's next? And that encourages them to get on the phone or Zoom call with you to have that chat, have that conversation. Then they can ask and probe deeper. If you've got everything on there, what are you going to say on your phone call with your inquiry if everything's actually listed there? There's no point. You've got nothing to talk about. It's a really important thing. What you've said there, the £1 copy rule, treat every single word as if it was £1 you was going to be spending, and that way you're going to help reduce this stuff down. But Aidan, we're talking about writing, we're talking about copy and the stuff that people actually put on their websites. Can I just bring up my pet hate here? People not being themselves. People thinking it's all right to maybe copy other people. And sometimes, Aidan, people do this and they're not even aware that they're actually copying. You know, we've helped a lot of performers over the past year of running TSM. And by golly, the amount of times we've spoken about websites and we've noticed, oh, well, there's 5 websites that now look exactly the same as Aidan's, except the words have been tweaked. How many times do people look when they're actually wanting to write something on their website about a wedding page, for example? They look at 5 other magicians in their area, they look what they write, and they kind of piece it together and formulate copy based on their websites. They're no longer sounding like themselves, they're sounding like a homage of all of these different magicians, and sometimes people directly, what has happened to you in fact, people directly copy and paste the actual text, and they think by just changing a few words, tweaking a few words, they then think, oh no, this is no longer copy. This is now my words. This is authentic to me. No, it's literally Aidan. It's Aidan speaking. You've just put it into your own words. This is my pet hate. You're not being yourself. And then that is going to break down trust with the client. It's not going to sound like you when people are reading through the website.
Oh, it's so true, and every time I see it happen, I laugh because my website isn't even that good. So when people copy it, it's absolutely hilarious because we're all just bringing ourselves down rather than lifting ourselves up. But yeah, you're so right. Actually talking from your own sense of self, your own character, one of the things that I particularly do is that I actually talk as if I'm talking and in conversation with that client. I'm not writing that Aidan is an XYZ, done XYZ and done this, that and the other and is this, that. No, it's like, hey, I am this person, I'm doing this thing, let's have a chat. And it's really personable and builds that rapport. So actually showing your character and your personality through, almost as if it was a transcript of a conversation, rather than, hey, book me, just on the internet somewhere. But let's move to another point now, because again, we could talk about all of these for ages. But designing your website, actually making your website look good. Now, step number 1, make sure your website looks good, because at the end of the day, if people are checking your website, it's realistically for nothing more than social proof, or you've popped up in their search feed straight away. They check there, think, oh yeah, okay, they seem legit, and move through. And if your website sucks, well, people are going to think that you suck. But does that mean, Ashley, that we should spend all of our time making sure that our website looks perfect and polished and is absolutely amazing?
Oh, it sounds amazing to have that dream website, but guys, if you're spending a year trying to do that, it's probably a waste of your time. If it's taking you a year, and I'm just going to be honest, Aidan, I'm talking to the people directly who are listening now. I know there's people listening to this little mini Just a Tip episode which have been designing their website for a few months, a year. I'm talking to you guys now. If that's the case, find someone else to do their website, because you're probably not the best person to do it if it's taking you that long. It's a waste of your time. Let me say that again. It's a waste of your time. You said it there, Aidan. People just go to your website, it's a bit of social proof, and then they move on. It needs to be just good enough. That's it. It's just good enough. It just needs to showcase you in the best light possible, but it doesn't need to have all of these amazing things covering all this gold glitter with these fancy moving graphics all over the place and bang, 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 it looks better than the best website in the world. It just needs to be good enough. That's it. So if you are listening to this right now and you're spending all of that time, day after day after day, trying to get this right, trying to get this the best possible thing possible, stop. Stop now. Either wrap up, finish with what you've got, finish it in the next few days or today, or find someone else that can finish that website in a week because they actually know how to do it properly.
100%. It's so important. It's so important. And I think what's really really key actually when you're looking at these websites is to actually, if you want to work on your website, because I know a lot of people listening write blogs and do the whole SEO style lead gen kind of thing, which is something that we could talk about at a later date. But for some people, if you're going to use your website like that for consistent content, and that's the way you're going to get leads, actively use your website. You have to keep showing up to that website. You have to keep using it in the best possible way. And in that case, sure, maybe spending a bit more time on your website is a good thing. But that's not just setting out the graphics. That's actually writing content and actually sharing content and promoting your website and all of that kind of stuff. Or if you don't want to take that approach and you'd rather just get your website out there because it needs to be out there, take the approach of just set it, then forget it. Just set up the website, get it all ready to roll, and then forget about it. Just, it's there. It's out there in the internet. It's fine. You can review it every 3, 6, 12 months, however long you want. I'd probably go for a 3 or 6 month check-in just because of seasons. You might have a perfect summer events page, and there's no point promoting summer events in the middle of winter because logical, unless people want that, unless your audience and your clients want that. But ultimately, there are 3 really key rules here that we've shared in this episode. Step number 1, say what you need, not what you want. Take that £1 copy rule. Imagine that your entire copy on your website, every word is the equivalent of £1, €1, $1. Your aim is to reduce the number of pounds it takes in words to actually get somebody to inquire. Rule number 2 is actually be yourself and let your own personality shine through. Don't just copy somebody else's words or somebody else's website and tweak it a little bit, because that's like you writing our script. Pointless. The part number 3 is actually stop designing your website. You can overdo your design. Just get it out there, set it, forget it, or actively use it. They're 3 really simple steps to actually making your website work. Have I missed anything, Ashley?
No. You've covered that perfectly, and I think this has been so useful for those people listening today. And if you have fallen into any one of those traps, just know that it's okay. It's not a dig against you. Loads of people fall into this time and time again, not just in magic or entertainment. The main thing is just take action on the advice we've said. And I just want to wrap up today's episode and just say thank you to listening to another midweek episode of Just a Tip. If you are enjoying these episodes, do consider, subscribing, hopping down to the bottom, leaving a little review, or even just sharing these with your friends if you thought that today's tip was super, super handy and useful for you. But anyway, we will see you guys soon. And remember, keep an eye out for more future episodes and, of course, our longer main episodes on Sundays. We'll see you soon.
Bye. What if you could get 10 gigs in just 30 minutes? What if you could earn more money right now simply by not working? How do you do all of that? Well, the simple solution really is simple. It's the word simple. You got to keep everything simple. Ashley, we're talking about simple things today and doing less is more. Why? Why is this so important, and why do people need to pay attention to this?
Well, 100%. And, sometimes we get to a point where we just think, oh, I've got to do more, I've got to book more gigs, I need to book more gigs, to book more gigs, I've got to do more work. And to just put this into my own perspective and open you up to something, do you remember about a year ago, Aidan, very, very early doors of setting up TSM, the point where I was launching my virtual shows, doing virtual shows everywhere for everyone, I would say to you, yeah, another 16 hours of work today, absolutely crushing it, doing the hustle, and it was great in my mind at the time. And then what happened from there, Aidan? I started getting very, very tired, exhausted, worn out. I lost track of absolutely everything, and I didn't know what I was meant to be doing. I couldn't focus my attention on those specific key points within my business and my life overall, because I was just now trapped in the state of doing everything for ridiculous hours a day. You don't need to do that, because you're going to hit something which is called burnout, and you hit that, you can't get any work done. You feel like utter... I was going to say, sorry, I shouldn't sound the podcast then, but you feel like, meh, and no work's going to get done, and then that's going to ruin productivity, and then you're not going to be able to book those 10 gigs. You're not even going to be able to book them in half an hour, let alone in a week. Really simplifying your business is so useful. And what do we mean by that? I mean, I've simplified my business. I've really taken that right down to the core. What do I need to be doing each week to really push myself in the right direction and focus on those highest leverage things? What is the most important thing I can do to get the most results from? Okay, that's what I need to be doing. Not the designing a really fancy Instagram post and then putting that out, and then also redoing the website every single week. No, this is all pointless. It's the most important things. And you do that, you can reduce your time. What you said at the beginning there, Aidan, it seems like, oh yeah, come on, that's just a cool little intro. No, it's reality. You simplify your business to focus on the things that are most effective. You can book 10 gigs in 30 minutes. Heck, you could do more. But it starts with working on what works and really identifying that.
Well, this is it at the end of the day. By simplifying everything, and again, by simplifying and talking less is more. Like, if you put more, and let's put it in this perspective. If I gave you a $100 bill right now and asked you to go and buy something using only that $100 bill, you have one sale opportunity there. You have one thing that you can buy. And that's a nice big thing, most likely. However, if I gave you 100 $1 bills and said, go and buy something using each of those, now you've opened yourself up to 100 different things, but are those 100 things going to be really useful? Well, probably not, because they're going to be $1 things rather than the $100 things. So the point I'm really trying to make here is that just because you've got all of these options open, they're all there. You can do them all, which is the worst thing. I trick myself into doing this, and I know other people do. I trick myself into thinking, oh yeah, I can do all of these amazing things. And realistically, I'm doing them more at a mediocre or $1 level, rather than doubling down, combining everything that I've got, all of my resources, and putting it into the one thing that works the most. And that could be funneling it all the way down and just saying, right, okay, I'm going to stop paying for advertising completely and I'm just going to talk to more people. Because the truth is, that's how it could work. Or it could be a case of I'm going to stop trying to go to all of these trade shows, wedding fairs, fancy events to go and try and get as many leads as possible. And instead, I'm just going to do one public show per quarter and really optimize that and make sure I can get 10 gigs in a 30-minute public show. Like, you can do that. It's totally possible, but it has to come from that position of simplifying, streamlining based on what you want to do and what you're comfortable doing. Because burnout's a pain in the ass, to say the least. It'll properly screw you over. It's screwed us over on several occasions. Like, we get wiped out for burnout. It's not just a quick, oh yeah, I'll be back on my feet over the weekend. It's a week long. It kills us. So really preventing that burnout and actually taking time off as well. This is something else that I don't think we talk about enough. We are advocates of it because we want to get everybody in the entertainment world thriving and hustle free. But actually taking time off, what do we mean by that, Ashley? Is that just sitting down with Netflix or what?
No.
Or Disney Plus? God, I hate Disney Plus.
I've got a feeling that you're going to slam those in there for certain reasons. But actually taking time off to focus on ourselves, and it's really important when you do this. I was speaking to actually a couple of psychologists a few years ago about taking time off from work and how people struggle to actually divide themselves, even just in regular office work. They get home and they're always thinking, oh my gosh, I forgot to do this. Oh my gosh, I've got to do this tomorrow. You've got to have that clear end and this is me time. Because if you've got all of those doubts in your mind, you're still switched on and you're still in work mode, it's going to cause stress, anxiety, and you're not going to have that active recovery time to really focus on yourself. You should be prioritizing things like your brain, your memory, your health physically and mentally. You've got to be prioritizing this, because then when that's optimized, you can show up a whole load better within work itself. You feel better mentally and physically so that you can really kind of focus and streamline your work, which in turn is realistically, that's going to save you more time in and of itself. And now you're doing less work, which means you've got more time to focus on yourself, doing the things which you find fun, enjoyable. And when we're talking about time off, this could be stuff like going on a walk, having fun, meditating, rock climbing, surfing. These are the types of things which are going to be so useful in time off. And why is rock climbing and surfing and all of these types of more doing activities in general, why is that more useful than Netflix or Disney Plus, Aidan?
Well, you see, there's a difference between active recovery and passive recovery, or passive time off, as we like to say. And essentially, active recovery is actually time off, but that is doing something. We are active. We're helping our mind, our body. If we're meditating, we're helping our mind. If we're, and relaxing the body, which again might be getting rid of a ton of stress that's in there. Or going for a walk, actually getting that energy and that blood flow, looking after your body. It's an active recovery protocol that's going to help you become the best and healthiest version of yourself, so that you can actually show up to work and be more effective. And something that you were saying there, Ashley, about actually the amount of time working and that lot, the studies are actually showing that after about 30 to 35 hours, your productivity, even if you're looking after yourself, and even if you're doing the time off and all of these fancy protocols and streamlining and less is more, your productivity goes down really, really rapidly after just that 30 to 35 hours. And that's a big, big shock. So we've actually got to spend time looking at active recovery protocols, whether that's the yoga, that's the walking, that's the meditating, that's the surfing. Heck, Patagonia, one of the big companies out there, they have a literal rule, which is quite simply, let my people go surfing. Which basically means that no matter where they are, if they're in the middle of a board meeting, they're doing a presentation, they're doing some general admin work, they're doing anything, the people of Patagonia are welcome to just stop and go surfing. Well, they do that for flow reasons, which is, again, ultimately an active recovery protocol that they go in there, but it helps them show up better. And passive time off, the Disney Plus, the Netflixes, that's just you sitting there, it's just on. It's not actually doing anything for your mind or body other than just beaming blue light at you and making your brain melt. It's probably not making your brain melt, but it's not active recovery nonetheless. So that's what we need to aim for, actually doing stuff, and you'll feel better. Otherwise, you'll hit the burnout. And the problem with burnout is that it appears out of nowhere, doesn't it? It's one of those things that, yeah, it's fine. And then you hit burnout and you realise that you've been tackling for weeks or months all of these things at that mediocre, that $1 level. And you just then have the big realisation of, oh yeah, probably shouldn't have done that. Meh, can't do anything for now. I'm going to wait until I get better. And then continue on the $100 bill approach rather than just doubling it down and going for that one approach.
That's it. And you know what? Based on this, based on everything that we've said today, I'm going to set you guys, the listeners, a little challenge just for today. You know what that is? Something which you're going to reap the rewards from, and you're going to notice a specific change after it's happened. And that, quite simply, is, heck, don't do anything magic for 24 hours. No tricks, no business stuff. Nothing magic for 24 hours. Take a 24-hour break, switch off, and go through active recovery, not just binging an entire Dracula series on Netflix or The Mandalorian on Disney Plus. Go through active recovery and switch off, and you'll be able to go back to your work, show up so much better, and because of that, productivity will be heightened. So really, you can then focus on doing less because you're doing more in a short amount of time. That's it. As easy as that. Don't do anything magic for 24 hours.
But The Mandalorian's quite good, though.
Not in this 24 hours.
Fair. See you soon, guys.
How do you actually know what's working within your entertainment career? How do you actually know what's working within your business, your life overall? Well, you've got to monitor it, don't you? You've got to track it, and you've got to check your numbers. A few people listening to this little mini Just a Tip podcast today, Aidan, will be thinking, oh, no, I do that. I monitor my ad spends. I know which piece of advertising works, which pieces doesn't work. But really, it goes beyond that. We've got to be monitoring and checking the numbers on everything, even down to maybe how long we actually spend, like tracking our time spent on maybe doing emails, maybe doing phone calls, going down to these specific links, actually checking our conversion rates on phone calls. How many gigs can we convert on the phone? All of these numbers we have to track. Why? Because we can find out what's working, what's not working, and really double down on the work we are doing.
It's so important to focus on actually doing what works. As you guessed by today's episode title, Do What Works. We want you guys to start doing what works, and that really does have to come from knowing the numbers and understanding what actually works and being able to see it. Like, heck, for example, very recently we started tracking our time and our workload for TSM and everything that was going on, and we were surprised and amazed at the fact that once we prepared all of this information, we got our total hours over the last couple of weeks, and we looked at the systems that we could put in place and the tasks that we could get rid of or delegate, that XDS process, that delete, delegate, systematize, for people who aren't familiar with the XDS approach. But we looked at that and we was able to shave off nearly 40% of our time each. That's madness. And the reason we could do that is because we are getting obsessive over this stuff. We know what we're doing. We're tracking that. We know what the biggest ROI is. Like, we know what tasks are actually giving benefit, what are high leverage tasks versus what are low leverage admin that we don't actually need to do. And all of that stuff has come from such a clear vision point. And now, once you've got all of those numbers and you start tracking it for a week, a month, 6 months, however long you want, start doing something about it. And really 80-20 your workload is going to be so important. And for those that aren't familiar with the 80-20 rule, that's the idea, or Pareto's principle, for some other people that might have heard it through that means. But essentially it involves the idea or the concept that 20% of your input should equal 80% of your output. In other words, 20% of the things that you do should equate to 80% of the results you get. Whether you want to look at that in terms of clients, 20% of your clients can actually give you 80% of your overall benefits, whether that's income or anything else like that, or 20% of the tasks, or 20% of the social media posts, or the whatever the heck it is, insert the 20% there. And really look at actually what that 80% is on the outset. What can you do? What are the high leverage things, the most important things, those building blocks that will give you the biggest return of investment, that reap the rewards on the other side?
100%. And for those of you who listened to last week's Just a Tip episode, Less is More, you'll know the power of doing less so that you don't get trapped in that hustle culture. This is a way and a step to becoming hustle-free and really thriving within your entertainment career. This is so important. And I just want to add on to what you said. It wasn't just the fact we managed to shave 40% of the time that we was actually putting in. But there were so many things which we identified, which those little meaningless tasks which you think at the time like, oh, this is just something I can do easy. We forget about how many of those we actually do. And when we tracked all of this, it stacked up and we went, oh my goodness, I didn't realise that this was such a big thing. For example, some people, emails. I know that you've said to me in the past, checking emails is something which is like, oh yeah, I do it. But once you do it multiple times throughout the day, that can start eating and be quite a big chunk of your day. And if you're monitoring this, tracking the numbers, you can really identify there's a problem there. But, I want to go on to something further. If we're tracking everything here, and we identify something that doesn't work, what are we going to do with it? We can pivot and try something new. If there's anything that 2020 has shown us within business, it's the importance of pivoting. If there's a problem, if there's a barrier, if there's something in the way, we've got to change direction. We've got to be nimble on our feet, move to some other direction. Heck, I done it with virtual entertainment, and look at me now, my career has taken off. I don't want to say that to inflate my ego, even though I have a massive ego, a massive head, but I really say it to just prove a point. If you don't pivot, you get stagnant, and then you get stuck being busy, doing the things that don't really work and don't have the highest results. But if you can pivot, and if you're not scared to really take that change, and sometimes that involves going a step beyond what everyone else might be doing. Everything else amongst your friends, they might be saying, oh, this is the best way to market, this is the best way to do this. And you're like, well, actually, from what I've been monitoring here and what I've been tracking here, I know I've got to be doing this. And it's completely wacko, completely out there. But at the end of the day, if you're the only one doing that, you stand out, you're different, and you know it's going to work because you're the only one tracking this bleeding stuff in the first place, and then that's going to further your career. This is such an important thing to really do, guys. You come across something when you're tracking these numbers, you identify something that's not working, pivot, change direction. Don't become rigid in those foundations. Always move, always adapt where you can.
I think what's really important as well is that this process and of actually being vigilant over what it is that is you're doing, the numbers you're tracking, this is such a task of self-discipline. You really have to be vigilant with yourself over this. I know that from our end, when we started tracking our time, we kind of tracked a bit here and there, and it actually wasn't helpful at all because we didn't have an overview at all. If anything, we were wasting our time by tracking our time. So we actually then led into that and tracked pretty much every minute of our waking day to work out what the heck are we doing, when are we doing it, all of those things. And that self-discipline that we had then was able to, well, that essentially gave us all the numbers, all the stats, all the metrics, everything that we needed to know to say, right, okay, here's how we're going to save time and actually get more out of it. Here's how we're going to do amazing things and improve our entertainment businesses, for example, by doing an awful lot less or just focusing on what matters the most. And the big thing here is that, especially in conjunction with our last few episodes in terms of getting hustle-free, getting out of the business and kind of just focusing on the high-leverage stuff, a lot of people are going to think, oh yeah, okay, that's fine. I don't really do much anyway, and yeah, I don't get it. And if you're like that, you're in two minds, or you're stuck on one way of thinking, please make sure that whatever you choose to do from here, whether it is cut a load of projects or just focus and double down on what works, you're playing to your strengths, not the strategy. We talk about this a lot, especially through our program Learn to Thrive. We actually look at making sure that you're playing to your strengths in whatever area possible, rather than just the strategy. Don't get stuck creating 3 TikTok videos a day because you think that might get you some leads or some inquiries. If you're not very good at quick TikTok videos, or if it takes you forever, that is not a strength. Instead, if maybe you're a writer, maybe blogging is a good idea for you. Maybe if you like creating videos, maybe YouTube is a good idea for you. Maybe you just like having conversations with people, in which case, go and have more conversations. Don't let the strategy of what works take over your personal strengths in a situation, because strengths outshine strategy every single day of the week.
There we go. And if there's something which you really want to take away from this episode, it's that. Track everything, play to your strengths, have fun, more importantly. Just enjoy the process. Just enjoy it. That is the main thing. And it's as easy as that. It can sound difficult and it can sound daunting. Like, oh, track everything, do this. But at the end of the day, the benefits, we know firsthand what the benefits are. We know that it works, and we're now having more fun in what we do within magic, within mentalism, within our entertainment businesses, within our other businesses, because we've done this. We've identified what works, what doesn't work, so we can really go ahead and focus on that.
I think what's also really important, just as a final thing, is it will sound daunting for a lot of people, because it is. So instead, actually doubling down and focusing on maybe one thing. What is the one thing that you're actually going to track starting today, effective immediately? Are you going to track your time and what you're doing, the tasks and the time it's taking to do them? Are you going to track your social media views, if that's the approach you want to take? What is it that you're going to track? What is that one number that you're going to start with that's going to get you into this? Because it's a habit, it's a way of life, it's a way of thinking, if you like, to really make sure that you're doubling down and checking in with everything, and check in every week as well. Like, we do this in our meetings, we call it Mission X. Reason being, it sounds cool. But essentially at Mission X, we jump in and we check all of our numbers, we check all of our stats, we check and make sure that we're doing what works. So maybe schedule yourself a Mission X of your own kind and actually put that in your calendar and work out that one thing that you're going to start tracking for at least a month. at least a month. And with that said, thanks for jumping in and listening to this episode. It's really important stuff here. And if you want more of this and you want us to share and dive a little bit deeper about maybe our experiences or how to actually do this properly, reach out, let us know. Come and join us over at thesuccessfulmentalist.com/community, and you'll be able to sign up and join our awesome kick-ass community of like-minded performers that are changing the way the entertainment world sees this whole thing that we call entertainment as a career. Any final words, Ashley?
Have fun and remember, do what works.